about that? First pitch changeup and for a swinging strike. You gotta like it.
And that's a good pitch to throw to a guy who's currently third all-time and second all-time now in leadoff home runs. Alfonso Soriano passed Craig Biggio. He's behind only Ricky Henderson. There's a shot down the left field line. That's going to go into the corner. He got it up a little bit. Soriano will bop it into the corner for a two-base hit. For Soriano, his 13th two-base hit.
Well, he threw him a changeup, a very good one in the first pitch. Then he throws him a big overhand curveball. It kind of goes right into the zone for Alfonso Soriano. He keeps his hands back and he rips it very sharply down the line. Maybe a little bit of a mistake pitch, yes. Probably a learning pitch as well for Maloney. Every one of the batters that he goes through, you know, you're going to learn a little bit about yourself. You learn a little bit about pitching to big leaguers.
So he'll work from the stretch right away. And here's Terrio. Terrio at 286, 11 doubles, 2 triples, 5 homers, 22 knocked in. And that got him. Hit by a pitch. It'll be first and second. Terrio trying to shake it off on the right forearm near the elbow.
Well, he's all over that dish, Terrio is, and you know I don't think you blame the pitcher for that. I mean, you ought to be able to get out of the way of the ball. If that ball's coming in there that close to the strike zone and you're up there in a bunt, you ought to realize early on that it's not going to be a strike and be able to turn and get your way out of that. He did not show a very good way of getting out of the ball. If you're a youngster at home learning about how hitting, that's not the way to get out of the way of a baseball.
Dale Scott, the home plate umpire. Jerry Meals is down at first. Damian Beal at second. Mike DeMuro at third. And here comes Derek Lee. So 2 on, nobody out. Reds double play depth, middle of the infield. Lee 263, but that's good news. He had a horrible April after battling neck difficulty, and for a while they thought he might need surgery, that he might have to go on the disabled list for a lengthy period of time. He's back and he's been hitting well of late. 389 since the middle of May. It's got the average up from 200 when the Reds played the Cubs the last time, up to 263. 6 homers, 21 knocked in. He started the game with a changeup, and that's a perfect changeup. And Chris, the one thing that has changed in his game plan from last year is that pitch exactly.
Well, George, if you boil down his AAA numbers and you break down the batting average versus lefties versus righties, lefties are hitting over 300 remarkably for a left-handed pitcher, but right-handers are hitting only around 200, and that's all because of the changeup.
No balls, 2 strikes. Just missing, and it's 1-2. Lee against the Reds, 283, 29 homers, 83 knocked in his career. Bob back and out of play.
Boy, you got to like that. He got that fastball up to 91 on the radar gun here at Great American Ballpark. And coming right in there after a changeup, you go about 76 miles an hour to a good cut fastball. That's a 4-seamer right there. Get right in on the hands of Derek Lee. Not an easy thing to do because Lee, for a big guy, has a short swing. Now what you do is you change speeds again, change parts of the strike zone, and go back to something other than a hard fastball.
Here's the 1-2. And he nips at that outside corner, just misses again. Hasn't missed by much on either of those pitches, down and away.
Well, he has a repeatable delivery. That's one reason why he throws so many strikes. In 67 innings, he has walked only 9 batters in AAA.
2-2. Back and out of play. And if there's one change, I mean, you can talk about pitches. Yes, he throws a changeup much more effectively than he did a year ago. But the one thing that Ted Power has done over the last 2 years is do exactly what you talked about, Chris. Make him repeat his delivery.
Well, you repeat your delivery, George, and you can spot the baseball. If you have a different arm slot on every pitch, and if you have a different leg kick, it's awfully hard to throw the same pitch where you want it.
Leaning over, this blooped into center, long run. Can he get there? Dickerson got it. What a catch, and he might get a double play. Not in time, but a brilliant catch by Chris Dickerson for the 2nd straight night. A miraculous diving effort by Dickerson.
Just kind of a lunge shot there by Derek Lee. Gets it out at the end of the bat. And, you know, anytime the big guy swings the bat, you freeze a little bit. But, boy, Chris Dickerson is making a highlight film defensively in the last couple of nights. That is the third diving catch he has made in 2 ball games.
That saved 1 run and also keeps a double play in order for Maloney. That's Maloney pointing at him, and Dickerson pointed back for good reason. Wow, what a catch by Dickerson. Well, Chris, you get a chance to play, you got to show what you can do, and he's doing it.
Yeah, you know, the really amazing thing about that is that Chris Dickerson is so much better in center field. I mean, so much better. He may be the best defensive center fielder the Reds have. But you put him in left field and he really struggled. Just goes to show you how difficult it is to play those corner positions when you're not used to it. But he's playing a marvelous defensive center.
There's Jake Fox. There go the runners. Here comes the throw. It'll go to second, and it won't be in time. Hey, he's off the bag. And Terrio hops up immediately to argue with Beal. Beal saying he touched the bag and then got off the bag. Phillips kept the tag on him. And look out, here comes Lou. Take another look.
Well, the throw by Hernandez or Hannigan goes to the other side.
That's
and what Terrio was saying that his foot was on the bag and his hand wasn't. And then when his foot came off, his hand was. No tag yet. There's the tag. His foot's on the bag. Now it's off. That's a great call right there. That's a heads-up call by a new umpire, Damian Beal, with his head right on the play. Terrio can argue till the cows come home, but he's going to look at this video and realize the ump got it right.
Give Beal credit. He got it right. Kept his eye on the runner and on the tag. And here's another example for young players why you keep contact with the runner when you're slapping a tag down.
Great point.
Well, here's Fox. So now there's a runner at third, but with 2 outs. And Maloney in a somewhat convoluted first inning. You talk about starting your first inning, Chris, you got a little bit of everything in this inning.
You did, George. You know it's going to take good defense to have good pitching, and he's gotten that already.
Here's Fox in at 429. Double, no triples, no homers, and 1 knocked in. In the air to center field. Dickerson back. At the warning track, he'll have room and a big deep breath for Matt Maloney. Thanks to Dickerson. Thanks to Phillips. He escapes unscathed in the first. Welcome to the bigs, Matt. the other end of the dugout where he said thanks to Chris Dickerson in person for good reason.
Now, you know what? Dickerson really saved the blowout inning right there. Had that ball been able to fall in front of the center fielder, who knows what would have happened. They would have scored at least one there with Alfonso Soriano getting a big jump on that ball. But he'll meet with his battery mate, Ryan Hannigan, talk about things, and so far so good. All he can worry about is looking up there and seeing that big goose egg up there in the top of the first inning, and that's what he was hoping for.
Those eyes are big right now, aren't they? There's Jerry Hairston Jr. to lead it off. Dickerson and Phillips do to follow. That's a first inning similar to your first inning where you needed some help from an outfielder.
Absolutely, huh? George. You know what? That's why they put defenders out there.
That's probably what Dick Pohl's telling him too. Down to third. Knocked down by Fontenot to throw. Going to go over everything. Bounce off the front of the camera bay. It did not go into the camera bay, so Hairston will only be on first. And that's a decision by Lee. He would have had to crash into Hairston to try to get a glove on this.
Oh, you boot it immediately, and you want to come up throw, and he rushes the throw right there, and Lee's nowhere going to get in front of that runner coming down the line. That's a suicide play for a first baseman to step over in the line to try to catch a thrown ball right as a runner gets to first base.
That's already happened to him once in his career, and a lot of folks thought that it might have been a career-ending injury for him. So the Reds get a base runner. Here comes Dickerson. Got a nice round of applause after the great catch. From the stretch will be Dempster. There's Ryan's numbers. Overall 4-3 against the Reds in his career. 5-4 and an ERA of about 4.5.
Well, he's throwing the ball pretty well. Coming off his best start of the season. 7 innings of 3-hit shutout ball against the Dodgers.
Dickerson showing bunt. Dickerson, you've seen his defense the last couple of days, but applaud his offense too. Last 20 games he's over 300 at 310. That's got the average, which was one time down at 210 up to 240. He's in center field because Willie Taveras is still nursing the hamstring injury, and when Dickerson came down the steps after that brilliant catch, Taveras was there to bow to him as he came down the steps, and they high-fived each other. Pride in defense. Left field, Soriano going. He'll flag at it. It's going to go all the way to the wall. Here comes Hairston. They're going to send him. Rounding third, coming to the plate. The throw. Not in time. He got the hand on the plate. Soto will argue, but it appeared as if Hairston got past Soto and slapped the plate with his left hand. What a slide by Jerry Hairston Jr.
Oh, what a slide at the very end of this. This ball hit like a rocket. Bad route by Soriano. Really should have been able to at least cut that ball off, but it exploded on him as it got into left center field. A great relay by the Cubs right there, but what a slide. He goes around the catcher Soto, gets his left hand on the plate, and the Reds score their first run. What a great play by Jerry Hairston.
He gets the hand on the plate before he touched the shoulder, and Dickerson says, yes, sirree.
Well, these guys are fun to watch.
They're having some fun, and they're leading the game. And we've talked about it all year when they do get off to a start in the first inning where they've been outscored most of the year. It's usually a sign of good things to come. So Hairston reaches on the error and scampers home on the double. And Dickerson delivers his 9th run batted in. Well, it's been a highlight reel for Chris Dickerson so far in 1 inning of baseball. Somewhat lost in all of that was a great relay from Ryan Theriot to the plate. He took a short hop on the throw from Soriano and threw a strike to the plate. That's down the line, but into the seats and out of play. Two close plays for Theriot. One out at second where he's tagged out, and a perfect relay throw to the plate. A tad late, and the Reds lead it 1-0. There's Phillips against Dempster in his career, 2 for 12. Off a red-hot month of May, leading the Reds with 41 runs batted in. Fontenot gets this one, and Dickerson's going to try to come to third. Here's the throw. He's going to be safe. A nice job by Dickerson. He took 2 steps towards third, slammed on the brakes, and as soon as Fontenot delivered, he gets to third.
Fontenot kind of looked the runner back, and Dickerson began to go back, but still nice base running play.
Here's your U.S. Bank starting lineup. Jerry Hairston, Dickerson, we told you about the last 20 games, and then Phillips. Lance Nix is coming to the plate now. Ramon Hernandez, Jay Bruce, Alex Gonzalez. Hannigan hits in the 8th spot, and Maloney, who by the way did have a home run in the minor leagues this year, bats in the 9th spot. Here's Nix against the right-handed Dempster. Lance in at 278. The Cubs will bring the infield into the edge of the grass. That's the value with less than 2 outs of Dickerson getting the third. 11 doubles, 1 triple, 7 homers, 18 knocked in for the Reds left fielder. That's slapped back and out of play. The numbers for Lance in the last 5 games: 6 for 17, including 3 home runs in 2 ball games in St. Louis. For the most part, he was the Reds' offense for 2 days. Doesn't take a round tripper, just a bloop here will get the Reds a 2nd run. On the inside corner, he got it. First strikeout for Dempster, 2nd out of the inning. Here comes Ramon Hernandez. Here comes the Ford defensive alignment for the Chicago Cubs. Alfonso Soriano, offensive minded, not a good defender in left. Reed Johnson outstanding in center. Jake Fox is over in right. Fontenot, Terrio, Scales, and Lee across the infield. And last year's Rookie of the Year, Giovanni Soto behind the plate for Dempster. That's your Ford defensive alignment. Last year, Giovanni Soto not only hit well, he threw brilliantly. This year, he's had shoulder difficulties. They shut him down for a week in April. He's back in the lineup, but his offensive numbers are down. His defensive numbers are down. He's thrown out only 21% of those who have tried to steal.
Yeah, what a difference between last year and this year. And a lot of people want to look back to the WBC and say, well, maybe that was the thing that set him back. He, of course, played for Puerto Rico, but he didn't get much playing time. Played behind Fudge Rodriguez. He sat the bench. He finally went back to spring training. He had gained 12 pounds and really had a lot of reps.
Right field down the line, looking up is Fox. It is gonna be gone. Well, even playing that way, expect him to go that way. Hernandez foils the defense by lifting one over the yellow line. A 2-run home run for Ramon, and the Reds have hopped out to a 3-0 lead here in the first. Home run number 4 for Hernandez.
Well, we've seen Ramon Hernandez go the other way for clutch base hits. Now we see him go the other way just enough to get it out of the ballpark. A fence scraper right there. Got a little paint on it from the wall, but it doesn't matter. Whether these runs are earned or not doesn't matter either. To Ryan Dempster, they're all unearned, but the Reds have put a 3 spot on the board against the Cubs here in the first.
You saw the way the Cubs are playing him. Fox was playing him as if he's a left-handed pull hitter. And even with that, he tattooed that one off the yellow line, over the fence, and good enough for his 4th homer, and the Reds lead it 3-0. There's Jay Bruce. That's a bouncer back to Dempster. He'll take care of it himself. But the Reds do some business. It all started with an error. Dickerson chases home 1. Hernandez chases home 2. And the Reds lead it 3-0. Last night, Jerry Hairston Jr. and the Reds were frustrated time and time again. They were only 2 for 8. This season, they're 258 coming in. But today, already they've started it going in the other direction. 2 for 2 with runners in scoring position in the first inning. And the Reds, thanks to a run-scoring hit by Dickerson and a 2-run home run by that guy, Ramon Hernandez, the Reds lead it by a score of 3-0. The Reds' picture for this game and this series is subject, of course, to the way the Cubs have pitched, and they are second. Their pitching staff is second in holding teams down in those kinds of positions. There's a shot by Reed Johnson down the left field line. That's going to drop in for 1, and he'll speed around first, go into second with a 2-base hit. So for the second straight inning, a leadoff double for the Cubs. Soriano in the first, Reed Johnson here in the second. Here's your 4 defensive alignment for the Reds. Lance Nix is over in left. Dickerson, highlight reel the last 2 nights in center. Jay Bruce in right. Hairston, Gonzalez, Phillips, Ramon Hernandez back over at first. That means Ryan Hannigan behind the plate. Your 4 defensive alignment. And Chris, there is a method to this because it was Ryan Hannigan who caught Matt Maloney down at AAA last year.
Well, he did last year and did a pretty good job, George. 11-5, not so bad at all. Earned run average in the mid-4s for Maloney. But you learn so much after a full season in AAA because there are a lot of former major leaguers down at that level. And he looks like he's pretty polished right now. Knows what he wants to do. Both pitches he's given up hard hit balls on so far. The Soriano double and then the double by Reed Johnson. Not really hard hit, but both up in the zone and pulled right down the left field line.
Here's Giovanni Soto. A year ago, he was off to a great start offensively. This year, he's struggling at 209. Only 1 homer into the 3rd month of the season and only 12 runs batted in.
Yeah, I was kind of getting into that, George, before Ramon Hernandez interrupted me with that opposite field home run. He can do that anytime, by the way. But he gained 12 pounds during the WBC. Really didn't get to work out as much as you would normally work out during spring training. That's the complaint that a lot of teams have about the World Baseball Classic.
Down to third, bobbled by Hairston. In the dirt, it'll get away from Hernandez. So both third basemen give away an out. And now it'll be first and third here in the second.
Well, the instinct is that once you bobble it, pick it up and fire it over there. And both third basemen have made the same mistake. Both throwing wildly to first base. Both throws getting by the first baseman, although in this case, no damage done yet, but still runners on the corners, nobody out. And if you're Matt Maloney right now, you're thinking about damage control. Yeah, you'd love to strand that runner at third base and preserve a shutout. But the fact is, you've got 3 runs on the board. You're looking for a ground ball. You're getting down towards the bottom of the order. You've got a career minor leaguer coming up. You throw your best pitch to get a ground ball and have your defense turn a double play.
So first and third, middle of the infield double play depth. There's a sky-high fly ball to Bruce. He's coming in. The runner at third's not going anywhere, and for good reason. That guy's got a cannon in right. 1 away, and now a double play can get him out of trouble. A double, an error, and the fly ball out. 1 away, and here comes Fontenot. Fontenot, 232, 8 doubles, a triple, 5 homers, 24 knocked in.
And this will be the first lefty in the lineup that Matt Maloney will face. And I told you what the splits were down in AAA. The left-handers hit Maloney really to about 100 points better than do right-handers. And what happens is you're a left-handed pitcher, and managers put so many right-handers in there that you learn and figure out a way to get righties out. But then when you find good left-handers that play every day, you forget how to get them out sometimes. And that's what happens to an awful lot of left-handers, and I think that might be the case right here. Remember, you've got the pitcher on deck.
That's wide. Fontenot plays all over this infield, and if you need him, he'll play the outfield too. He and Ryan Theriot were teammates, and you see his numbers against lefties, 148. They were teammates at LSU when LSU won the national championship back in 2000. Oh, by the way, another guy was on that club, Aaron Hill. They moved to the outfield because Fontenot was a better second baseman. Right now, Hill's having a brilliant year over in the American League with Toronto. Last night LSU beat Rice to win game 1 of the Super Regionals in college baseball. That breaking ball misses, and it's 3-0. Last night, Fontenot had a bases loaded walk, and that forced in one of the 2 runs that beat the Reds. In fact, this club has more bases loaded walks than anybody else in baseball. Soto has had 4 bases loaded walks, and all told, his team has had 12 this season. That's almost unheard of. Lou Piniella, the beneficiary of that. Now he's got the bases loaded again with 1 out. Reds will stay at double play depth, middle of the infield. The first baseman, Hernandez, will play behind the runner at first, and here comes Dempster. Bryant at 080. 25 at bats and 2 hits. Well, for your first 2 innings in the majors, he's had a little bit of everything. I think the jitters are pretty well worn off by now.
Well, he says, well, you know, I've had enough runners on base for a whole game. In fact, he probably didn't have this many runners on base during his last game, a complete game down there in AAA.
2 balls, 1 strike. You know, with Soriano due up next, Piniella's probably hoping that Dempster doesn't hit it.
Sure.
Maloney would like to get him to roll one up and turn it into an inning double play. That was a pretty good line against Scranton Wilkes-Barre, Chris.
That's the Yankees minor league team managed by Dave Miley.
Up high.
That's a setup pitch. Now we're going to go with the changeup low and away. Hopefully for Matt Maloney, Dempster will hit it hard enough to an infielder and roll it over.
Jerry Hairston Jr. even with the bag in, tied at third. Hernandez still playing behind the runner at first. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Well, he went with the fastball, not the changeup after all. And I'll tell you one good thing Matt Maloney's doing, even if he disagrees with the home plate umpire tonight, Dale Scott, he has not given him one extra look. That's exactly what a rookie ought to do. Get the ball back and go to work.
Slap foul. The count stays 2-2. That's a call, strike 3. Second out of the inning, and now they're going to have to deal with Soriano, who rifled a double into the left field corner.
Well, he painted him on the outside corner. Good left-handers are able to own that first base side of home plate. Matt Maloney no different. Well, he's got a nice delivery, you know, George. I like his direction. He's straight on to his target. Not a guy that throws across his body. He gets good extension. He's a tall guy. He's 6 feet 4 inches tall. He uses a nice downward plane. And if he keeps it down around the knees, he ought to get a fair amount of ground balls. Right now, he's looking for one more out in this inning.
Soriano doubled to lead off the first, but the Reds were able to leave him stranded. Here's a look at the mechanics of Matt Maloney.
Really nice good balance. He drives his right towards the direction. He keeps his front side, his glove arm under control. Doesn't flop it very far. Good looking delivery.
Missing up high. Soriano struggling of late. He was 150 in the last 14 games coming into today. Had a pretty good April at 284, but slumped in May down to 216. Two-0. Thinking fastball. Maloney will throw anything but a fastball at any count.
Well, when you top out about 86 to 88 miles an hour, maybe 90 on your fastball, you get into a hitter's count, a fastball count, 2-0, 3-1, you're not throwing a fastball. If you do, you better spot it.
2 balls, 1 strike.
Back-to-back changeups. And we get a little bit of a view out of it. We know ahead of time what's coming just by looking in the glove of Matt Maloney from that center field camera. He throws a circle change. He's got his fingers over the top of it, and he works this one. Even though it's up in the zone, the arm motion fools Soriano.
Rick Sweet, the manager, Teddy Power, the pitching coach, will tell you this guy not afraid to throw 3 straight changeups. He may do it here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bases loaded with Cubs. There it is. He just got a piece of it again. Do you throw it 4 times in a row, Chris?
Why not, George? Soriano's not having all that great success with it so far. That's a classic circle change. You take your index finger off the ball, throw it like a fastball. A little early pronation, meaning you turn it over a little bit more, and you run that ball away from him. Soriano, though, is getting a better look at it every time. 2-2 count, you don't have a lot to work with. You need it out here.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Here we go again.
And it's up and away. So it's a full count, 3-2. With 2 outs, the runners will be rolling.
Well, when Soriano faced him last inning, he saw a first pitch changeup. He swung and missed that, and then Matt Maloney dropped the curveball on him. Really not all that bad of a pitch, but it kind of broke right into the wheelhouse. Likely he'll stay away from that. Either go fastball changeup here. Maybe Soriano will pop it up.
Oh, and it's another changeup. He got him. 5 straight changeups from Matt Maloney. He strikes out Soriano with the bases loaded. And the Reds still lead it 3-0.
And Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By JTM, food, family, fun. JTM. And by Jeep. You talk, we listen. It's a new day. Have fun out there. Jeep.
Back at Great American Ballpark, Alex Gonzalez will lead it off as we go to the bottom of the second. Hannigan and Maloney due to follow. Gonzalez down to third. By the diving Fontenot. That's a leadoff base hit for the Reds in the second. And don't forget, see this beautiful new Toyota Tundra up in left center field? Well, if a Reds player hits the Tundra or the Tundra sign during tonight's game, Samuel Hartstock of Cincinnati will win it. Register for your chance to win during an upcoming game at your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. We were up there yesterday. I was trying to get a ladder so you could go up there and sit in the Tundra, but they wouldn't let you up there because they were afraid you were going to try to drive it off that perch.
Well, George, it does have extra shocks and heavy-duty tires. Why not?
Here's Hannigan. He takes a strike from Dempster. Ryan in at 325. 3 doubles, no triples, a homer, 4 knocked in. You know, as much a part of the story at the end of the top of the second of 5 straight changeups from Matt Maloney is the catching side of it. And give Hannigan credit, but also give Rick Sweet credit. Rick Sweet called Ryan Hannigan to tell him, look, this is a different pitcher than you caught last year. I mean, last year he was a fastball breaking ball pitcher. This year his changeup is the pitch that's his bread and butter. Don't be afraid to call it back to back. And Hannigan listened to his mentor Rick Sweet, and boy did he execute it.
That's a pretty good idea. You know, catchers need to recognize early on what pitch is working for their pitcher. On a particular night, maybe it's a fastball, and on the next start it might be a changeup. But usually there's one pitch working better than the other, and then tonight and for a lot of nights it's going to be a changeup for Matt Maloney.
That's a little wide. Hannigan on the Reds, second on the club and leading all National League rookies in batting average and on base percentage. He's had a great start offensively, and that really shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, through the minor leagues he was a all-star at single A and all-star at double A, and on this week where we talk about the big draft picks, the high numbers, he's one of those guys that wasn't a high number. There goes the runner. Here comes the throw. He's going to be out. Well, last time Theriot didn't win the argument. This time he'll make a great tag. Hit and run. Can't get the bat on it, even though the throw's not great. Tag applied by Theriot. Breaking ball out of the strike zone. Hannigan couldn't get a bat on it. It's 2-2, and the runner retired at second. We talk about the Reds draft history of the last decade, and obviously last year Yonder Alonso, he looks like he's going to be a pretty good one. 2007, Devin Mesoraco. That'll be decided. Todd Frazier also in that group. Drew Stubbs, 2006, and Chris Faleka. Chris Heisey, too, who's having a great year. But go back to 2002. There's a bouncer down to short. Theriot has it. That was the year that the Reds drafted Chris Grueller as their #1 pick. Grueller never made it. The high schooler was injured, but that was also a year when they signed Hannigan. Hannigan, a non-drafted signee, and here it is 8 years later, and he's paying off at the major league level.
It's amazing, George, how your #1 draft pick never makes it out of A-ball that year, but your non-drafted, signed as a free agent amateur, ends up being your second catcher and really could be your starting catcher.
Out of Massachusetts and on to Rollins College. Hannigan's done his job. Now here's Matt Maloney, 2 for 7 down in the minors this year, including a home run against Indianapolis. Hey, he's got his first hit. How about that? Well, his first major league start. He gets his first strikeout. He gets his first hit. And he gets a hand from the fans here.
You know what? It doesn't matter what it looks like. Infield hit, knocked down by the shortstop, does not matter at all. He'll want to keep that ball and put it on his mantle forever. A base hit for Matt Maloney. First time he steps up there. Hey, Matt, it's not quite that easy, let me tell you.
That's the first time a Reds pitcher making his major league debut has gotten a base hit in his first at bat since Scott Randall did it against Kip Wells back in September of 2003.
I know I've got a bad memory, but you've got to remind me who that was.
Single to center by Hairston. Maloney will stop at second.
He played for the Reds? Seriously, do you remember a guy named Scott Randall?
No. Okay. Scott, I don't remember.
I don't feel so bad now.
No. So 2 on, 2 out. And here comes Dickerson. Dickerson doubled in a run in the first. Three runs, 5 hits for the Reds, no runs, 2 hits for the Cubs. Dickerson trying to deliver for the second time tonight. And Dempster counters with his own changeup for swing and a miss.
And that's really been a pitch that has changed his whole career. Ryan Dempster, when the Reds got him from the Florida Marlins, he was a good pitcher. He's a hard throwing right-hander. He used to routinely get it up there 93, 94 miles an hour. Full effort on every pitch. And when he came back from arm surgery and rehab, he went down and pitched with the Cubs in the minor leagues, and he had a pitching coach named Brett Burns, former major league left-hander that I pitched against many times, George, and I can tell you that he told him that a changeup is going to be his most important pitch, because on nights when you have your good fastball, that changeup is going to complement it, and on nights when you don't have that good fastball, that changeup is going to compensate for it. And that's kind of the attitude that Ryan Dempster has taken ever since kind of coming up with the changeup. It's a Fosh kind of changeup, not a normal circle change like most guys throw, but it's been very effective for him.
And anybody that's going to last for any length of time as a starter is going to have that. Dempster, of course, has been a starter and a closer. After a couple of years closing, he's back as a starter once again. 3-1. With a bouncer down to second. Scales has it. The Reds threaten. Nothing to show for it, but an inning that Matt Maloney will remember, his first major league hit. He'll head back to the mound when we return. Booth, and your question may be answered on the air. Text keyword Reds, then your question to 37664, and stay tuned. You may just get your question answered. Well, if the question is, when was the last time a rookie pitcher for the Reds got a base hit in his first game, it was Scott Randall, the last Reds pitcher to record a hit in his first career plate appearance. That was the 18th of September 2003 at Pittsburgh off Kip Wells. We do remember Kip Wells.
Oh yeah. Scott Randall, let's look him up.
Here's Ryan Theriot, hit by a pitch and then out trying to steal in the first inning. On the scoreboard, Colorado leads the Cardinals 1-0. They're in the third inning. Milwaukee and Atlanta are scoreless in the third inning. That's popped back and out of play. Pirates lead Houston 6-2 in the third. San Francisco and Florida scoreless in the first. Philadelphia and the Dodgers 2-2. They're in the 11th, still rolling from a 4 o'clock start. Washington leads the Mets 3-0. They're in the fourth inning. Arizona and San Diego a little bit later on. Right center field. Who'll get there? Bruce says I will, and he does. One away. Reds, after this brief homestand of only 3 games, will head to Washington, then to Kansas City. And Chris, when we head to Washington for games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the draft is on Tuesday, of course. Chris Buckley, the man who heads up the Reds draft, and we'll have a complete feature on the Reds draft and the history of the draft tomorrow with Reds Live pregame. Kent Weaver's working on that. But Washington will have the first pick, and we keep hearing that Steven Strasburg, who's the #1 college pitcher in America, the #1 amateur pitcher in America, will probably be picked by Washington, and then the battle starts. I mean, the rumors have said 40 to 50 million. I think most people in baseball think it'll end up being somewhere around 15 million, but that's a big
That's a big number no matter what, George, but in all likelihood he won't sign until the very last day. That is the usual modus operandi of Scott Boras, his agent.
Played for Tony Gwynn Sr. at San Diego State. What a fastball. 99 to 100. He's got a breaking ball. And to right field towards the corner. Bruce, a long run at the foul line. He won't get there. Great effort by Jay Bruce. And Chris, everybody that's seen this kid says the same thing. He's the real deal. There's the breaking ball. And oh, by the way, there's paint at the knees at 98.
Nice easy motion. But you know what? If the Washington Nationals are going to draft him, I mean, it certainly doesn't do the Reds any good even to watch video of the guy, because he certainly won't last out of the Reds are picking 8th.
Yes.
There's no way that he'll drop down that low.
Well, let's put it this way. If Washington doesn't sign him, he may last to the Reds, and he may last a lot longer than that till you get to the Yankees or the Red Sox, 28, 29, and 30. If Washington doesn't sign him, there's a whole lot of other folks that aren't going to spend that kind of.
In this ball game, George, there's a perfect example as to what you can find that isn't necessarily in the amateur draft. The Reds had Ryan Dempster. And when they got him from Florida, he pitched for a couple of years with the Reds. He hurt his arm, and then the Reds sent him to Dr. Timothy Kremchek. He surgically repaired his arm, and then they essentially rehabbed him. They worked with the trainers and all the therapists, and they got his arm back in shape. And then when it became time for him to throw, the Reds did not re-sign him. Instead, he went on and signed a contract for $500,000 with the Chicago Cubs, and they took a chance on him. So here's a guy who was a former All-Star, a major league pitcher, and you get him for $500,000, surgically repaired and ready to go, where you're going to go out and give a high school kid maybe $2 or $3 million who may never get out of A-ball. And it was such a smart move by the Cubs, and it's really paid off huge dividends.
Well, that changeup pays off in huge dividends again. That strikeout number 3 for Maloney.
But he's really dealing out there. I'll tell you what, he's got great arm action on that changeup. These guys are swinging at his arm, and they're way out ahead of it. That's a good delivery. He's a good-looking left-handed pitcher.
You know, having said what you just said, Chris, there were a lot of people within the Reds organization that urged ownership to go ahead and spend the $500,000 and keep Dempster. First, because Dr. Kremchek thought the operation was a success. Secondly, because they knew the kind of competitor that he was.
Yeah, but obviously those guys who wanted him weren't decision makers.
Exactly.
I mean, there's always going to be contrarians, but if no one listens to him, what good does it do?
Mm-hmm. There's Jake Fox. Fox flied out first time up. The Reds last year with their #1 pick took Yonder Alonso out of the University of Miami, signing him to a 5-year deal. And you know, part of the decision too is who's the best player available. There's a bouncer down a second. Also, can you sign him? Signability. Phillips takes care of it. 1, 2, 3. That's the first clean inning for Matt Maloney. From Dylan from Latonia. Do you think Matt Maloney will have a starting place in the Reds rotation? Well, tonight, yes. But, you know, Chris, this is a game of opportunity, a game of chance, a game of you get a chance and you're going to make good on it. And right now with Edinson Volquez on the sidelines, and the hope is he'll be back and ready to go. But in the meantime, if you get a chance, you got to grab it.
Well, you know, you're always looking to upgrade, George, and if he pitches really well, like you say, there'll be a spot for him somewhere. It may not be right now. It may, you know, if you get, here's the great thing about having too much pitching. If you get Homer Bailey throwing the ball real well, and he's able to sustain and come up through the major leagues and do well, and Matt Maloney does the same thing, you're continuing to bring your better, younger players up that you're going to have control over, and it gives you opportunity to trade and upgrade somewhere else where you need help. If you need an outfielder, you need an infielder, you've got to trade something good to get them. And I think that's what you have is trading chips. Either you trade a young guy like Maloney or Bailey, or you trade an established high-priced player like Harang or Arroyo and fill the needs that you think you have.
I mean, look at the Reds. Last year, Joey Votto, very clearly the Reds' first baseman. They draft Yonder Alonso. And, yeah, is he going to play first? Probably not right now, but might he be traded for something? Might Joey be moved to the outfield? Might he play another position? If you got a player that can play or a pitcher that can pitch, either you'll make room for him or you'll utilize his value. A good example, too, and there's a bounce out, 2 away. Nix is retired. In Milwaukee, the Brewers drafted Ryan Braun. He was in the same draft year that Jay Bruce was drafted, that 2005 year when the likes of Ryan Zimmerman and Alex Gordon all made it to the major league level within 2.5 years. And then they backed that up, drafting Matt Laporta, who projected as a first baseman, too. And the question was, you know, what are you going to do with both of them? Well, what did they do? They turned Matt Laporta around for CC Sabathia. That's pretty good. They needed it last year, and they got it. 2 away, and here's Ramon. His homer in the first. Played at 2 and gave the Reds a 3-0 lead. I mean, best athlete available is often said and often quoted. If you can afford the best athlete available, you're going to be a better organization. Two balls, no strikes. That's in there for a strike. almost every scouting director you talk to this year will say that the strength of the year is in pitching. Far more potential major leaguers, quote unquote, available that are pitchers as opposed to position players.
Yeah, I think, George, what I mean by that, and Chris Buckley might obviously will know a lot more about it, but that means the higher draft picks, you know, the first 30 or 40 players projected in the draft, probably predominantly pitchers. But when you're drafting 1,000 players, it's you really don't know until 5 or 6 years later whether that draft was pitcher heavy or whether it was infield heavy or outfield heavy.
And you say 5 years. Let's go back 5 years. Homer Bailey, the #1 pick for the Reds. Paul Janisch not drafted till the 5th round. Janisch to this point has contributed more 5 years later. I mean, that's not to say that Homer might be a big time contributor up the road. 3 balls, 2 strikes. That's up high, ball 4. Chris Buckley is headlining, of course, and putting together the Reds draft. We asked him about his philosophy of who do you draft? Best player available, signability, what comes into play?
Last year we picked Yonder Alonso, fully knowing we have Joey Votto up here, a great young first base. We just thought Yonder was the best player to take, and we took him. And since I've been here in 2006, there's not been anybody we haven't been able to draft. So we go after the best talent.
And I think that's reflective of ownership. I think that's the one thing that Bob Castellini has told Walt Jocketty, Chris Buckley, and the rest of the Reds front office, that we're going to try to get the best player available.
Well, it used to be for years, George, we would see the Reds draft based on signability. They would take a player that would normally be slotted for the 3rd or 4th round, and they go to that player before the draft and say, hey, we're going to draft you in the 1st round. Will you sign for 3rd round money? You'll get more than what you normally would in the 4th round, but we're not going to pay you 1st round money even though we're taking you in the 1st round. And if they could get a pre-draft agreement, that's the guy that they would get. All based on affordability, really, and signability.
Swing and a miss. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Dempster. When we return, Cubs to the plate. They trail 3-0. From Shakely goes to the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. 3 in the till for tonight. The Reds lead at 3-0. 3 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors. And the official scorer, Ron Roth, has ruled on the play that involved Mike Fontenot at 3rd for an error, and also the play that involved Jerry Hairston Jr. Fontenot charged with 2 errors on the play instead of 1. Here's Reed Johnson. As we go to the 4th, Johnson, Soto, and Bobby Scales due up. Reed doubled to lead off the second. Soto then reached on the air. But Scales flied out. Fontenot walked. Dempster struck out, and then Soriano struck out. On his horse, looking up. He won't get there. It's one hop off the wall. Johnson will cruise into second. His second double of the day. His fifth double of the season. So another leadoff double. 3 of the 4 innings, the Cubs have had a leadoff 2-bagger to start things off. Time for Aflac trivia question for the night. Who was the last left-handed pitcher, not just to start, but to win 10 games for the Reds? The last left-handed pitcher to win 10 games for Cincinnati. Got to go back a ways.
Do we? Would that be the John Smiley era?
Let's see. You got Smiley, sure.
Wouldn't go that back that
Wells,
sure, yeah.
In the 90s. How about this decade? Browning, Milton. Eric Milton.
Could be.
Here's Soto. Reached on the era. Up for the second time. Johnson's got good speed off second. One ball, no strikes. Maloney to the stretch. In the dirt, Hannigan, good block, keeps it in front and holds Johnson at second. That's perfect mechanics.
Yeah, great foot movement behind the plate by Hannigan. Looking for a ball down. It's a breaking ball. You better get your body in front of it, because when you throw a curveball like that and it hits the dirt, you're really not sure where it's going to spin off to. But it's not going to spin straight. So he gets his body in front of it, leans his chest forward a little bit so that when he does block it, it keeps it in front of him. And no advancement of the runner.
2 balls, no strikes. In the corner for a strike. Soto last year, Rookie of the Year for the Cubs, and started the All-Star game. A great offensive year, a great defensive year too. And I mean, he didn't just come out of nowhere. He's been in the organization for 9 years. He kind of languished for a while. And you mentioned conditioning, Chris, and work ethic. Well, he lost some weight. He got himself in the best shape of his career 2 years ago, and that got him to the major leagues last year. Center field, it'll stay in the park. Dickerson. Johnson's tagging at second. Dickerson's throws coming all the way in. Here's the throw. He's going to be out. Dickerson did it again. A strike to third. Johnson's nailed. And Chris Dickerson's a highlight reel in this Cubs series.
Reed Johnson thought that he had this cinch. He had it timed perfectly. We get a great view. He actually gets a little bit of a late start right there, but the throw has to be right on the money, and it is. What a throw by Chris Dickerson. That's Major League Baseball right there.
Johnson's got good speed also. DeMuro calling him out at third. And, the other part of that, you saw the way Dickerson set up. Very often these days, you'll see somebody catch the ball one-handed off their off shoulder and throw flat-footed. Dickerson did everything perfect. He got his body moving in the direction of third. Talk about perfect mechanics. Here's a high fly deep to left. Well, forget this one. Bobby Scales is going big time deep, and the Cubs are on the board. It's 3-1. Scales' third home run. The previous 2 have come as pinch hit home runs.
Well, talking about a guy that spent a long time in the minor leagues, Bobby Scales is in 11 years in the minor leagues with lots of different organizations. We saw him, I think, George, in spring training, I think, when he was with the Boston Red Sox. It's kind of a long swing, but he jumped all over that one right there. Made his major league debut a month ago. And that's a pretty good looking swing for a homer. Makes it a 2-run ball game.
San Diego, Philadelphia, Boston, and the Cubs. He spent time in the minor leagues dating all the way back to 1999. He was selected in the 14th round then, and he's finally made it to the majors. That's a bullet off the bat of Fontenot, but it's caught by Phillips. So Scales homers. Cubs are on the board, but the Reds still lead 3-1. For tonight, with Matt Maloney starting, the first Reds left-hander to start this year, who was the last left-handed pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds to really be effective in the rotation and win 10 games. Brandon Clausen, 10 and 11. There's a shot by Gonzalez into the left field corner. Soriano can't pick it up, and it'll be a double for Alex Gonzalez. Brandon Clausen, who came over to Cincinnati in the Aaron Boone deal in 2005. 10 and 11 was his number, Chris.
I remembered Brandon Clausen. I'm still trying to conjure up Scott Randall. But Brandon, a very nice guy, good-looking left-handed pitcher, threw a little across his body, had a problem getting the ball to back up, go away from right-handers, but he was a 10-game winner. He was from Roswell, New Mexico. Yeah.
And he got tired of answering questions. Every city we go in, people.
Have you seen an alien?
Yeah.
Have you ever been abducted?
Do you have a flying saucer parked in your garage?
He pitched a couple of games. I thought his curveball was abducted.
Good guy.
Great guy.
Arm troubles, of course, and at one time when he was in the Yankee organization, a harder thrower, but nobody worked harder at the game of baseball. Here's Hannigan, who bounced to short first time up. Productive out, what the Reds need here. Get the runner to third. There's a bouncer, and that'll do it. Scales will backhand the throw in time. Good job by Ryan Hannigan. They move the runner to third with one out. Here comes Maloney. What a night for Matt. First time up in the second inning. What a way to start.
He'd love to roll this tape over and over and over again.
Got that Dave Kingman kind of lope, huh?
Yeah, you know what?
Long strides.
You hit him a long way, you can do that. He'd love to hit one past the drawn in infield right here and pick up his first run batted in.
Gonzalez off third. Somebody's got to take a picture of the scoreboard for him. I mean, you know, you make it to the major leagues, for the first time you step to the plate, your batting average is 1,000. Keep it. No strikes to Maloney. That's up high, 2-0. In fact, they just about have room for 1,000 on the scoreboard for the hitters. Pretty good, huh? Now that's the good news. The bad news is when you're 0-51. 2-1. You kind of liked it in the old days if you weren't hitting when there weren't numbers on the scoreboard, huh? When they only had the runs. They didn't have actual batting average.
Or pitching velocity.
Yes.
That was the one that always depressed me.
2 balls, 1 strike. And in the early days when they first started to do that, there were a lot of pitching coaches that would go to the team and say, I don't want that up. I mean, there were some ballparks that, I mean, they held out into the 90s that they wouldn't allow the radar gun numbers up there. They didn't want their pitchers to know how they were throwing.
Well, some pitchers would just throw out there to try to impress on the radar gun, always wanting to be faster than the guy that they're pitching against. Kind of get them out of their game plan.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Right down the middle, that's a call, strike 3. Tonight's Mega Million jackpot up to $25 million. Add 8 more from yesterday. Buy a ticket today. Tonight's Mega Million jackpot, $25 million. Hope you have a winner. That's strikeout number 3 for Dempster. Here comes Jerry Hairston Jr. Reached down an error and single to center. I remember once when Joe Coleman was the pitching coach for Joe Torre. That was in St. Louis. Coleman he was irate because his pitchers were trying to figure out how many pitches they had late in the ball game. So Coleman did 2 things. Number 1, he told the next day's pitcher not to tell the pitchers. Number 2, he kept his own clicker and he'd say, you want to know how many pitches? You ask me. And the pitcher would come off the field and say how many you got. He might be at 95, 78. That was Joe Coleman.
Sure. I mean, some pitchers you get conditioned to be tired when you get to 100 pitches because you're so used to being taken out of the ball game when you get to the 100, like it's a magic number. And so sometimes there would be a mental letdown, and there still is for a pitcher. Look up at the scoreboard now. You see everything. You see your pitch counts. You see how many balls and strikes you've thrown, how fast you're throwing. And sometimes you talk yourself into losing your stuff instead of worrying about the hitters.
No balls, 2 strikes to Harrison. Reds trying to get the runner in from third. Two for 8 with runners in scoring position last night. They struggled to get runs in. In a game they lost by 1 run. Missing down and away. Today they cashed in the first inning. Broken bat, caught in the air by Terrio. Leadoff double by Gonzalez. Reds can't score. They still lead at 3-1. AT&T Rapid Rewind. Matt Maloney and Chris Dickerson highlight reel. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Here's Dempster as we go to the top of the 5th inning. Ryan struck out looking. That was back in the 2nd inning. Game 2 of this brief 3-game homestand. Tomorrow, Bronson Arroyo goes against Randy Wells. And speaking of a youngster who started off fine, he's 0-2, but he's got an earned run average under 2 at 1.69. The other night he had a no-hitter working in the ball game. And the Reds will see him tomorrow. Bouncer down to 2nd. Phillips has it. Dempster is retired, 1 away. Don't forget, celebrate with Major League Baseball the strides you've made in our society with the Gillette Civil Rights Game Weekend presented by Duke Energy. Join the Reds and White Sox for a weekend of events in Cincinnati beginning June the 19th, honoring those who battled on and off the field for the rights of all of us to live equally. For more information on all the events of the weekend, visit MLB.com/civil rights game. Be a festive weekend, a weekend of memories of not just celebrating baseball, but celebrating America and celebrating the fight for equal rights as it's tied to baseball. And boy, we got some heavyweights coming to town.
Boy, do we ever.
And of course, we'll be here for the Saturday game, and that whole weekend we'll be honoring baseball and honoring the civil rights movement. Henry Aaron, Bill Cosby, Muhammad Ali being honored. Former President Bill Clinton will be in town, along with a host of former Reds and those associated with the game of baseball and associated with the civil rights movement will be here. Here's Soriano, doubled and struck out. Two balls, two strikes. Another changeup gets Soriano. He struck him out on it in the 2nd. He does it again here in the 5th.
You know, that looked like a sequence of pitches that you might see from Tom Glavine. The pitch before that changeup was a high fastball, about as hard as Matt Maloney could throw it. Eye high, 4-seamer, and Alfonso Soriano got a good look at it. And he says, all right, there. So you have them velocitized. You see your fastest pitch, and then you throw him your slowest pitch. Awful tough adjustment to make if you have good arm action. And he has good arm action.
There's Terrio, hit by a pitch and out trying to steal in the 1st. Flied out in the 3rd. In the air to center. Dickerson drifts back. Chris will put it in his pocket. It's been a memorable couple of days for Chris' defense with the glove. Dickerson's been dandy in center field. He'll go to the bat rack when we return. fans will receive a signed version. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Here's Chris Dickerson, doubled in a run, bounced to second. He leads it off, bottom of 5. Now, Chris, you can measure an athlete by how hard they throw and by their breaking ball or whatever, but there's something else that goes into championship athletes, and that guy right there is one of them. I mean, he battled back from the arm surgery that you talked about, and I think we all believed when he came to Cincinnati that he was hurt, that he wasn't 100%. And the injury first started in Florida, but he kept going out there trying to do the best that he could for his teammates.
Yeah, he really did, George. He wore a lot of different hats, too. He relieved, he started, he would do whatever he wanted. He was a wonderful teammate. And he had some flaws in his delivery that eventually he began to work out. He was a guy for a while there that Ryan Dempster worked quite a bit across his body. And I think that led to some of the arm problems that he had. You see that funny little movement that he has with his glove. Just as he begins his motion, he kind of flips his glove back and forth, and he doesn't do that to try to distract the hitter. I think what he has done, now he really doesn't give you a big talk about it, but what I think he does is that sometimes pitchers will tip their pitches by the way they hold their gloves. So he decided to put enough movement in there that you really can't tell, because there's so much movement on there. I really can't tell whether he's holding a fastball or a changeup or a slider in there. Some guys will tilt their glove a little more on one pitch than another. Sometimes you can see a logo on a glove on one pitch that you can't see on another. And he decided to eliminate that completely, and it's worked for him.
4 strikeouts for Dempster. Dickerson retired. Here's Brandon Phillips. Ground ball to third. Ground ball to short. 0 for 2.
I'll tell you one thing, he's throwing the ball a whole lot better now than he was the first couple of innings. Of course, all the runs in this ball game against Ryan Dempster, at least by my calculations, are unearned. Back in the first inning, that error started it all, and they got a double, and then the next couple of outs, and I would think that anything that happened after that would be unearned. But he's throwing the ball very well right now, has found his release point with that breaking ball.
Dempster now with his 200th start. He passed the 200 mark this past season. Joins a list of 7 active players that have had 200 starts and 200 relief appearances. He was the closer here for a couple of years. He's on a list that includes the likes of John Smoltz and Derek Lowe and Tom Gordon.
Now that's a little changeup that we were talking about. He's got a slider and a changeup, and he holds it kind of in an unusual way. It's there you see the grip of it right there. It's a Fosh changeup. He calls it a Fosh. It's kind of like a splitter or a forkball, but he rolls it off the back of his hand, and he's got great control over it. And you can tell that he's not afraid to throw it in any count. Kind of came up with it on his own one day while he was sitting on the bench, as pitchers always do, kind of fooling around with baseballs. Now there it is, coming out from between his 2 fingers. You got your middle finger here and your index finger there, and that ball sits right in the middle, and he just lets it go. Boy, he's got some great sinking action.
Balls, 2 strikes. Nix fouls it off. Lance is 0 for 2. Struck out looking and bounced out. In limited time, pretty good power numbers of those 7 homers and 18 knocked in as a Red. Dodgers finally beat the Phillies. LA 3, Philadelphia 2. Took them extra innings to do it. In Dempster's case, he disposes of the Reds. 1, 2, 3, 6 strikeouts now for Dempster. Reds lead it 3-1. Derek Lee will lead it off.
With you, talk about trading places. Last night, George and Chris were high atop the riverboat deck here in center field. They are back in the booth tonight, and I have replaced them on the riverboat deck, but last night they had pizza, everything else out here. Unfortunately, I'm on probation after ransacking the regular refrigerator and the ice cream. I'm on probation, so I blame Chris Welsh. I am out here thirsty and hungry, but enjoying baseball.
Well, JD, we're still cleaning up after the mess you left up here. Ice cream wrappers, pizza boxes, you name it.
Well, I put a vote in for you guys to permanently broadcast from out here in center field. We love the space we had, me and Pick, last night. It was like our own little condominium, if you will.
I mean, look at this. It's just like it was.
You know, George, the first thing I did this afternoon when I got here, I stopped by the hardware store. We changed the lock. So we're good to go the next time we go out of town.
The only good news is it was Buddy LaRosa's pizza.
I got nothing out here, boys. But what I do have is a capper with Reds Live after the game. You'll hear from the manager before anyone else. You know we put the best capper in baseball on it. We'll see you guys after the game.
Jim, from now on, will you please get out there among the common people? I know the fans are dying to have you out there in the stands with them, and for you to isolate yourself out there in a pilot house. I want to see
Let's do it right now.
500 level.
Let's
have some fun up there.
How about right now? We'll go amongst the common people. How we doing, people? They want me to associate with the people, not be alone all the time. How you guys doing? Got some hockey fans up here too. Look out. All right, we'll enjoy it with the patrons, if you will, boys.
He always gets closer to where the food is, doesn't he? He finds a way to get there.
There is some food up here, if I can sneak in.
We're counting on you, JD.
All right, boys.
Good job, buddy. Hey, that was fun yesterday. It was a great time out there. Thanks to everybody up in the pilot house. Great job by Dickie Moss and Justin and Jamie to get us all set up and to keep us on the air, and the work they did up there, and it was fun.
It was a great view, George. I hope that we were good enough guests that we get re-invited back there for another ball game, that we didn't tear up the house too badly, that John Burns isn't sore at us. Boy, that's a nice place to watch a ball game, I can tell you that.
Sure is. And Derek Lee, 3-2 to him. He was 3-2 in the third before Maloney struck him out. 0 for 2 coming up. That's going to get its way into left field. A base hit for Derek Lee. In 4 of the 6 innings now, the Cubs have gotten the leadoff hitter on. And here comes Jake Fox. Fox flied out and bounced out 0 for 2.
Well, you got to love the way that Matt Maloney has come out firing strikes tonight. I mean, that's one thing you worry about with a young pitcher making his major league debut or his first or second or third start, that sometimes you try to be too fine and you end up getting behind hitters, you're walking guys, you're making your own problems, but he's only walked 1. And he's been around the strike zone and really getting ahead of hitters very well tonight. And that shows that he's got confidence in his stuff.
Strike 1 to Fox. 0 for 2 tonight. Fox originally picked by the Cubs back in the 2003 draft in the 3rd round. Skies this one into short center field. Dickerson calling everybody off. He's got it. 1 away.
The Cincinnati Reds and Champions Baseball Academy are hosting a series of 3-day baseball camps for boys and girls ages 5 to 12 beginning June 10th. The camps take place at Loveland, Blue Ash, Anderson, Northern Kentucky, and Lexington. To find out more, visit reds.com/redscamps. Between 9 a.m. and 12 in the morning, Billy Hatcher will be at some of these local camps. I'll be at the one down in Northern Kentucky, and George will be having a great time out there with lots of kids running around and learning how to play Reds baseball the right way.
And you got to teach him how to throw that changeup. Start early.
I may have to bring Matt Maloney out there and teach him that. He looks like he's an expert.
Here's Reed Johnson, back-to-back doubles, 2 for 2, 5 doubles on the season now. By the way, also coming up just a week from now will be Joe Nuxall's golf tournament at the Hamilton Elks, and tomorrow Kim Nuxall stopped by with us, talk a little bit about that. It'd be great to visit with him again, and great to continue to perpetuate the legacy of the greatest Red ever, Joe Nuxall. One ball to Johnson. Swing and a miss.
Out of that golf tournament that we'll talk about tomorrow, the Joe Nuxhall tournament, George, that is really one of the highlights of the summer. It really is. We've been going out there, shoot, I think that since the mid-'80s playing in that golf tournament, and it's a load of fun. Boy, you talk about great auction items. Looking forward very much to that.
Along into the stretch, Lee off first. Again, a change-up, swing and a miss. It's 1-2.
Tremendous confidence he has in that pitch, to the point where he's not afraid to throw it for a strike. So many times you see young pitchers try to make their changeup so perfect that they think they have to have it on the knees, on the corner, in order for it to be successful. And it's not. The hitter swings at your arm action. And every time he throws a good one up there, he convinces us even more.
Down to third. They'll get one at second. The flip to first. Got him. Well, Matt Maloney's got him rolling into twin killings. He's striking them out too, and so far he's got a lead. 3-1 Reds, heading to the bottom of 6. Freeze cam. Key play in this game came early. Ryan Theriot sliding into second. He thought he would save. He was, but then he came off the bag. And keeping contact with the runner so important. Phillips did. And the correct call by the second base umpire, Damian Beal. He got it right. Theriot was off the bag. Brandon Phillips getting credit as he gets an out for the Reds. Coors Light Freeze Can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Here's Ramon Hernandez. Big swing in the first inning. A 2-run home run. That came after Dickerson doubled in Harrison and gave the Reds a 3-0 lead. In his career now, 4 for 6 against Dempster. Theriot has it. One away. Time for your Honda standings update in the National League Central. Start of play today. Milwaukee with a 1-game lead over St. Louis. The Cubs and the Reds each 3.5 back. Pittsburgh 6.5 and Houston 7. Within the division, Milwaukee has the best record, 21-10. The Reds are 4 games over 500, 19-15, and the Cubs are only 1 game over 500, 15-14. There's Bruce. Bounce out and a strikeout.
Here's a guy, George, the Reds really got to get out of the slump. Unfortunately, when the Reds went on the last road trip is when Jay Bruce began to go south. Looking at an 0 for today. He came into this ballgame 2 for 29. And he's a better hitter than that. And I I think that what we've seen in the past, when he begins to struggle, you know, like most young players, and young hitters are no exception, you know, you get anxious up there. You start swinging at pitches that you really can't handle, trying to hit your way out of a slump, because you've always heard that's the only way you're getting out of a slump, is to slash your way out of it.
Bruce on that.
Had a couple walks last night, which really helped him, and got on base. But you know, it's all about putting a few games together to build your confidence. All of a sudden, you'll see the baseball real big.
There's a walk, a one-out walk, and here comes Alex Gonzalez, who's 2 for 2, a single and a double.
Hey, Reds fans, for a great tasting quality meal for your family, pick up a bag of JTM beef or chicken Philly cheesesteaks from your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family, fun.
You saw that Central Division tabulation that we talked about, and the bad news for the Reds was that they had a losing road trip. The good news was they went on the road trip 2.5 back. They came back 2.5 back, and that's without Volquez and Votto. And after they play the Cubs during a stretch where they've been overloaded with Central Division competition, they won't play anyone else in the Central until the 4th of July weekend. That's against the Cardinals. That includes 21 consecutive games outside the Central for Dusty and the Reds.
And all those games count. It's nice to beat the teams that are in your division, yes, especially when you didn't do it last year. But boy, every game counts, and you know, you think you match up better against certain teams than others, but the Reds are here because they pitched well. I mean, if they could just average 4 runs a game, they'd probably be 10 games over 500 right now. Dusty Baker's trying to keep it all together, sewing it together with whatever thread he has.
Jason Bruce back to first. 1 out, 1 ball, and 1 strike. Hannigan on deck. In the air, right center. Reed Johnson at the warning track. He's got it 2 away. Let's take a peek at this stretch that includes all those games against the Central, beginning with the Astros. That was the 25th. They won 3 in a row, then lost the 3 against the Brewers, and then in St. Louis split the series 2-2. Lost against the Cubs last night, so they'll wrap up that stretch tonight, and then tomorrow against Chicago. 5 wins, 6 losses, 2 to go.
Really, George, you boil it down that the Reds have lost 6 of 8 after winning 4 in a row. So they like to get back on the winning streak again, and everybody will say, wow, you know, you can't get to Washington soon enough, right? Well, you really never know. And that's the real challenge for Dusty Baker, is to try to keep this team, young team, certainly inexperienced, a lot of extra players now playing on an everyday basis, keep them focused on the game that they're playing right now. Not get caught up in the schedule, not get caught up in who you're facing tomorrow or a week from tomorrow. But play this inning, the one that you're playing right now. Play this at bat out. Watch every pitch. You know, and the Cubs are really in a very similar situation too, because of the injuries. They've got a lot of first-year players on this ball club. Something like 7 of them, I think, overall, are guys that have very little experience. A couple of them in the lineup tonight, and Bobby Scales and Jake Fox.
There's nobody in the division that hasn't gotten a bullet or 2. I mean, Zambrano is out. Ramirez is out now. Harden's out, of course. There's a swing and a miss. Hannigan's retired. Reds get a walk. Nothing to show for it. Clinging to a 3-1 lead. Going to the 7th in Cincinnati. Soto will lead it off. summary. Chris Dickerson got the Reds rolling after Harrison reached on an error. His double and a nice slide by Harrison makes it 1-0. Ramon Hernandez says, I got your back. A home run to right, his 4th of the year. The Reds led it 3-0. Meanwhile, in the Major League debut of Matt Maloney, he has pitched well. There's been some defense that's helped him out, too. Maloney gets some high fives and some good leather. Chris Dickerson, another brilliant diving catch. A perfect throw to nail Reed Johnson down at third. Add it all up, the Reds are throwing leather at the Cubs and lead it. 3 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for Cincinnati. A run, 5 hits, and 2 errors for the Cubs. Maloney, Chris, your report card on him so far got to be pretty good.
Well, George's scoreboard tells it all. I mean, not my report card. It's what happens on the field and what the run column is. Doesn't matter really anything else. Right now, he has given up a 1 run. That was a solo shot home run. He's attacking the strike zone, giving up only 5 hits. And he has to be just thrilled with the way he has pitched tonight. I don't think he's as thrilled as probably Dusty Baker and Dick Bowler thrilled with the way he's pitched. I mean, you go down to the minor leagues and you lose Edinson Volquez, who's an all-star last year, and you plug in Matt Maloney, who is doing this kind of job tonight. You take this kind of performance out of any one of your starters.
Native of Sandusky, Ohio, originally as a kid was a fan of the Cleveland Indians, now lives in Columbus. Went to Huron High School, and when he got traded over, he came over from Philadelphia. Philadelphia originally drafted him. He came over in the deal that sent Kyle Loesch to Philadelphia. This one hit a ton. If it's fair, it's going to be gone. Down the line, it is a fair ball. Soto's 2nd homer of the season, a majestic shot, and it's a 1-run game.
They got to pitch up, and we've seen Giovanni Soto do this before. He loves those pitches, and I got to tell you, it seems like every catcher in the world loves to hit a fastball about 4 inches above the belt. Big, strong guy Soto is. He nearly knocks the foul pole down with that one.
Only his 2nd of the year. It's a 1-run game. In the Reds bullpen, that'll get action up. Nick Massett, Danny Herrera, and out comes Dusty Baker. Listen to the hand that Matt Maloney will get. Well, the young man acquitted himself fine on this night. He'll leave with a 1-run lead. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Say we have a great place for you to spend Father's Day at a Reds game on Sunday, June the 21st. Dad Appreciation Day, Great American Ballpark. First 10,000 dads in attendance will receive a tie and a special keepsake box presented by Cons. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. This is a keepsake kind of night for Matt Maloney. Outstanding night for Maloney. He'll exit 6+ innings, 6 hits, 2 runs. Danny Herrera takes over, trying to keep it right where it is. Here's Bobby Scales, the switch hitter. Here are the numbers for the major league debut of Matt Maloney. Down to short. Gonzalez has it in the dirt, picked by Hernandez. 1 away.
You know he's fighting the smiles right there, George. He's coming off the mound after 6+ innings of baseball, holding the Cubs down. The Reds really needed a win tonight, and they needed a good pitching performance. They got 3 runs early on, and he so far has made them stand up.
Up to the bullpen from here on out. 1 away. Here's Fontenot. Walked and lined out.
You talk to the Cubs people, George, and we've heard this throughout the league as we've gone around, but you talk to the Cubs and they think that perhaps the Reds have one of, if not the finest bullpens. And Lou Piniella in particular was talking about the lefties that the Reds have down there, Daniel Herrera and Arthur Rhodes. He says that he's never seen Arthur Rhodes throw the ball as well as he has, and he thinks that this young man, Daniel Herrera and Rhodes together, may be the best left-handed combination out of a bullpen in the National League, at least the teams that they've played so far. I know that they give you completely different looks.
Off the end of the bat, Hairston has it, and I think therein lies so much of it. I mean, very often you'll see bullpens that'll have power guys or bullpens that'll have contact guys, but this bullpen has a little bit of everything. And this guy continues to baffle hitters, huh?
He really does, and that's the key to it right there. But it's been lights out. I mean, you know, between Herrera and then Massett, who has really come on. I mean, we've seen Massett throw a couple of different ball games, and he's warming up right now, where they've got him clocked at 97 miles an hour. And then Arthur Rhodes and David Weathers, they can pick their spots with those guys. And of course, Cordero has been unblemished in relief as far as saves go.
Milton Bradley pinch hitting in short right field. Phillips will track it down and throw out Bradley. So Bradley's retired. 3 straight outs for Herrera. Reds still lead at 3-2. Camp. Don't miss out on the inaugural year at Goodyear, Arizona, as the brand new state-of-the-art baseball complex, January 30th rather, through February 6, 2010. For more information, visit reds.com/fantasycamp. Ryan Dempster's night is done. 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all of them unearned. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 84 pitches to the bullpen. Here's Aaron Heilman, the former Met.
Former Met, hard-throwing right-hander right now. We're looking at an earned run average over 5. having some control problems, this guy is, and we've seen him, George, have some very good ball games. In fact, he finished Ryan Dempster's last ball game. That was a 7-0 victory against the Los Angeles Dodgers. But they're looking at a 1-run deficit right now, bringing in Heilman to try to hold that deficit at 1. Reds looking for a little add-on.
Johnny Gomes will pinch hit. Rather, check it, it's Michael Owings. At first Gomes had come out, now Owings will come out. Owings will pinch hit here for Herrera, so Daniel Ray Herrera does his job. 1 inning, nothing across. And here comes Micah. Home run power, obviously, against Heilman. So far so good from a Reds pitching perspective. Matt Maloney, 6+ innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. Herrera 1 inning. And other than Matt Maloney, who's got half the world and his family in here, Daniel Ray Herrera probably has the second most family members. Mom's family, dad's family, friends, and everybody are in for this homestand. So they both produced, and now it's up to the bullpen to keep it where it is. 2 balls and 1 strike to Micah. 31 at bats, 9 hits, including 3 doubles and a triple. Add it all up, a .290 average. And this is the other part of the bullpen that Lou Piniella and Larry Rothschild talk about. It's the wild card of Michael Owings. Yep, he's a starter right now, but when you put him down on your roster, you know that he can come in and pinch hit at any time. 2-2. In the air to right center. Reed Johnson calling. 1 away. Back to the top of the order, Jerry Hairston Jr. Tomorrow it'll be Bronson Arroyo going for his 8th win against Randy Wells. We'll be on the air with Reds Live at 12:30. Off day on Monday, and then the Reds travel to Washington, D.C. to take on the Nationals and former Reds Adam Dunn and Austin Kearns. Johnny Cueto against Jordan Zimmerman on Tuesday. Aaron Harang against Ross Detweiler on Wednesday. And Michael Owens against Martiz. That'll be on Thursday. We'll be on the air at 6:30 both Tuesday and Wednesday for Reds Live. No balls, 1 strike to Hairston. Jerry overall at 253. At Great American Ballpark throughout his career, he's always hit well. Like he's coming in tonight at 340. That'll Bridges Mark Berry down in the third base coach's box and zips into the stands. Has it, 2 away. Here comes Chris Dickerson, and here comes a reminder that every weeknight, if you want sports and entertainment combined, we've got it in the Best Sports Show Period, presented weeknights by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. It's the Best Sports Show Period right here on Fox. Well, defensively, a highlight reel, and tonight the bat has helped too. Chris Dickerson, 2 great nights with the glove and the arm. Tonight in the first, he doubled in the Reds' first run. Cincinnati led it 1-0. And then while he was sitting on the bases, it was a home run from Ramon Hernandez that made it 3-0 Cincinnati. Those are the lone 3 runs that the Reds have, all of them coming in the first. He came up with a brilliant diving catch last night. Came up with another one tonight, and a perfect strike to nab the speedy Reed Johnson trying to advance from second to third on a fly ball out. And another guy, Chris, go back to 2003. drafted in the 11th round by the Reds. Not a first or second round draft pick either.
You know, George, when you're drafted, if you're a first or second or third rounder, obviously you're going to get way more opportunities to show your stuff than somebody taken way back at the back end of the draft. But the good news is for everybody who's drafted, if they sign a contract, they've got a chance. They've got a chance to be a big leaguer. You know, you get to the rookie ball or A ball or wherever they send you, and then it's up to you. And some guys are able to cut through it. And, you know, the key really is, I've always noticed, is that the quicker you can get out of A-ball, the better, because every organization has at least 2 or 3 A-ball level teams. And you can get lost in the numbers down there, even though you might be a pretty good player. But once you get the AA, you're just a call up from the big leagues.
And then there's you. Even after you're drafted and you're in the minor leagues with the Yankees, you try out for the Reds.
Well,
so you were trying to hedge your bets.
I got turned down at so many tryout camps. I thought, there's something wrong with these. So I proved it. There I was on a 40-man roster, and I couldn't make the A-ball team for the Reds. Or George Giroux would never forgive me for that.
Swing and a miss. Dickerson retired. The Reds clinging to a 1-run lead. David Weathers loosening in the bullpen. He's on his way in. Reds lead at 3-2.
Ford dealer and the Ford F-150 2009 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers.
Well, this night started off well for the Reds. Not just on the field. Mark Porta chowing down as he usually does. Thanks to LaRosa's for feeding the crew. And it's also continuing, Chris, on the field as Matt Maloney in his major league debut has done the Reds proud.
Wow. We got some big league eaters on our crew, do we not? Maybe Hall of Famers.
Only the best right there.
Nice going, guys. No wonder when I opened the box there's nothing but pizza bones left.
Here's David Weathers. He'll take over in the 8th. Soriano will lead it off, followed by Terrio and then Lee. 1, 2, 3, top of the order for the Cubs. 3 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Reds. 2 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Cubs. Soriano tonight, a leadoff double in the first, was left stranded. Struck out and struck out. All those at bats against Maloney. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Soriano, a unique blend of speed and power. Over 250 home runs, over 250 steals in his career. He signed that 8-year deal 2 years ago that'll take him through 2014, making a cool $17 million at 243 coming in.
Well, this is the guy, George, you really want to keep the ball down off of. And David Weathers is out there trying to pepper that outside corner with that patented slider of his. Keep it down, hoping if he does hit it hard, he hits it down on the ground somewhere. You see behind the plate, Ryan Hannigan really trying to convince him. And this is where a catcher can make a difference in the attitude of a pitcher. I know David Weathers has been out there a long time. What is he, in his 16th or 17th Major League season? So he probably doesn't need the extra incentive. But, you know, to have a catcher back there telling you exactly where he wants it, come on, and really convince you to keep it down, it gives you a little boost of confidence.
Soriano 4 for 13 in his career against Weathers.
Beautiful pitch.
Not this time. Great spot. Strikeout number 1, out number 1 for Weathers in the 8th.
Love the way right before, watch him set up back there. He says, come on, give it to me right there. Great job. You know what, if you're a right-handed batter, I mean, there's no scouting report that's secret anymore, especially against a guy like Weathers who's been around for a long time. You know you're getting that slider. You know it's coming. You know it's going to be away, and you say you hack at it anyway.
There's Terrio in his career 0 for 9 against Weathers. Ryan hit by a pitch, stopped trying to steal in the first. Fly to right, fly to center. 0 for 2. Ball and a strike. Showing bunt, it drops wide. 2-1. That's a base hit. So the tying runs on in the 8th, and here comes Derek Lee. Up for the Reds in the bullpen. Arthur Rhodes has started to loosen. Here's Lee today, fly to center. That was the great catch by Dickerson, 1 of 2 tonight. Struck out and then single to left. In his career, 3 for 25 against David Weathers.
Well, he had a cut right there. That might be the only hittable fastball he'll get from Weathers on this evening. Right on it, but just fouls it straight back. Hannigan set up outside. That ball floats back towards the center of the plate. And boy, that was a dangerous pitch.
Balls, 1 strike. Missing on the outside corner. Scooped out of the dirt by Hannigan, and it's 2 balls and a strike. Mike Quaddy rolling through signs down at third. Matt Sinatra, the first base coach, with his hands on the shoulder of Terrio down at first, reaffirming the signs from his third base coach. Sinatra has been together with Lou for a lot of years. Wide again. 3-1. Jake Fox is due up next. That's line into the left field corner. Here comes Nix. He'll cut it off. Terrio will go to third. It'll be 1st and 3rd. 2-for-4 night for Derek Lee.
Well, even though it's a slider, that ball caught a lot of the plate right there. And Derek Lee's got a big, long arms, and he can go out and get that pitch, and he hits it very hard. Nice job by Nix to cut this ball off and get it back in to keep the hitter Derek Lee from going on into second base.
Well, here's the chess match. You saw Dusty Baker looking out. Fox, the scheduled hitter, he's the right-hander. On the bench, of course, is Fukudome, the left-handed swinger, and they've already used Bradley. Blue's going to stick with his right-hander at the righty-righty matchup. If he had brought Fukudome in, it would have been Rhodes against Fukudome. Well, let's see if Weathers can get a ground ball and end the inning. And he falls behind again, 1-0. And David Weathers' strength is painting that outside corner down and away. He's just been missing tonight. Fox tonight, flied out, grounded out, flied out. Tries to check it. He went around. Rhodes is loose and ready in the bullpen, and Nick Massett has now joined him in the Reds' pen. Short center. Here comes Dickerson. He did it again. He bounces up. The throw to the plate will not be in time, but he got an out. Chris Dickerson, another brilliant catch. He popped up and tried to get the ball home, but the speedy Terrio will score the tying run. We're tied at 3.
Well, as soon as he has to leave his feet, there's no way he's going to be able to get up in time to make a throw to the plate. He does a nice effort right here, and that's a great catch by Dickerson. We've seen him do that now 4 times in this series in 2 games against the Cubs. But the tying run will come in as Terrio speeds to the plate.
If Terrio scores, we're tied at 3. That means that Matt Maloney cannot be the winner on this night. He pitched brilliantly, though. But Dickerson gets an out. And they're going to appeal down at third that he left early. It'll be denied. So here comes Reed Johnson. Johnson tonight, double and grounded into a double play. Derek Lee, big lead down at first. Yeah, I think, Chris, what we've seen in this inning is just what Lou Piniella said. You were talking about him before the game. He's so impressed the way Arthur Rhodes has been pitching that he'd rather have the righty-righty matchup than see Rhodes. There's statistics, there's numbers, and there's seat of the pants. Weathers to the stretch, runner not going, popped up right side. Who's going to get there? Hernandez does. He's got it. But back-to-back singles and a fly ball get the run in. We're tied at 3 going to the bottom of 8. Chris Dickerson the last couple of nights, and tonight's been no different. 2 more plays just like that, diving plays to rob base hits from the Chicago Cubs. He's thrown some leather at the Cubs, hasn't he, Chris?
Yeah, he really has, George. Diving leather at that. He has made just about every play that is asked to be made out there. Having a great day, and last night defensively. And it's remarkable how much better. I mean, he is an imposing figure defensively in center field. There's no doubt about it. I don't think that, you know, as fast as Willie Taveras is, I'm not so sure that Dickerson takes a back seat to Taveras defensively at all.
You got a feeling he's telling Maloney, sorry, I wish I could have thrown the runner out. Maloney said, no way you could have. You did a great job of just catching the ball.
He said, how about hitting a home run right here so we can go home on time?
Yep. Here's Fukadomi. He'll enter the game in right. So Fukadomi now the right fielder. Johnson in center. Soriano in left. Fontenot, Terrio, Scales, and Lee still in the infield. And Soto behind the plate. And here's Carlos Marmol. Picked up his 13th hold of the season last night. And he comes in here in the bottom of 8 trying to keep it where it is. Brandon Phillips, Lance Nix, and Ramon Hernandez. 3, 4, 5 for the Reds as we go to the bottom of 8. Well, bullpen game for both these ball clubs now. There's Brandon. Bounced out, struck out. Against Marmol, Phillips is 1 for 13, 077. Him up with that one, didn't he? 0-2. Phillips says no to the breaking ball. Last night, Marmol pitched an inning, allowed a hit and a run. That's popped back and out of play. From time to time over the last few years, it's appeared that Marmol was the closer in waiting. When Kerry Wood got hurt, he moved into that role briefly. When Dempster had difficulty, he moved into the role briefly, but he's never been able to hold it on a full-time basis.
And he's got to throw more strikes.
He's been effective in this role most of the time. Last night, he walked 2 in the inning that he pitched, and that's been his biggest bugaboo as a pro. One win, 3 saves, and this now is 29th outing of the year. One and 2.
You know, Marmol, George, is one of those guys that you were probably referring to earlier when we talked about how the jugs gun or the radar gun in a ballpark can affect how a pitcher pitches. I mean, he, I think, would sometimes rather break the record in the radar gun than get a hitter out. And they try to do that last pitch, just throwing it right through the catcher.
Kicks away, and Phillips has battled back.
Overthrew his last fastball and certainly overthrew that last pitch, a slider. So Phillips has gone from 0-2 now to the payoff pitch.
Nix is on deck. Hernandez set to follow.
And they're staying away from Phillips. And the key thing right here for Brandon is to use the whole field, not try to look for something that he can jerk.
3-2. Brandon can't believe he missed that one. Marmol's first strikeout here in the 8th. Phillips retired, and here comes Nix. Lance struck out, bounced out, struck out tonight. for 1 against Marmol in their matchups. If you just joined us, the Reds scored all of their runs in the first. Hairston reached on an error. Dickerson doubled him in, 1-0 Cincinnati. And then with 2 outs, Ramon Hernandez homered, his 4th of the year, and the Reds led it 3-0. Cubs have inched their way back with single runs in the 4th and in the 7th, and then tied it in the 8th. The Cubs runs coming on a home run by Bobby Scales, his 3rd of the year, a home run by Giovanni Soto, his 2nd of the year, and the sacrifice fly by Jake Fox. Oh. That's a strike. And the backdrop of all of this came on a night where Matt Maloney made his major league debut, and it was a dandy. 6+ innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. 87 pitches for Maloney, who left as the leader but cannot win his major league debut. Popped up left side. 5-0. 2 away. With 2 outs, it'll be up to Ramon, who homered back in the first, walked and then bounced out, 1 for 2 officially. For 1 against Marmol in their matchups. Velocity's always been there for Marmol, Chris, but one of the things that's so deceiving is a herky-jerky, funky motion that kind of can deceive hitters too.
And I think also, George, when you face him as a right-hander, that low arm angle really tends to freeze you. He's a guy, you know, we talk about how pitchers can go wrong by throwing across their body. Marmol actually throws wide open. His left leg, when he starts driving it to the plate, he's driving it really to the on-deck circle on the first base side over to the Reds on-deck circle. Wide open over there.
And the way he dips down.
I think that may contribute a little bit to his control problems. This leg really ought to be straight in line towards home plate, and he actually ends up off to the right.
2 balls, 1 strike. Breaking ball drops in there. And you can see by that replay too, the way he sets up and starts to deliver, his left arm comes around and looks like he's going to be coming from third base. Then all of a sudden he's almost over the top again. Loop towards second. Scales will have it, and the Reds go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th. To the 9th we go. Marmol has a 1-2-3 inning. Soto due up first when we return. on your iPhone and iPod Touch. Get real-time play-by-play, video highlights, and live audio broadcasts. Visit Reds.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase, and don't miss any Reds baseball all season long. Another dandy pitcher's duel on this night. Coco Cordero on his way in. He'll pitch the ninth. Cordero will deal with Soto, Bobby Scales, and Fontenot, 6, 7, and 8 for the Cubs. For Cordero, 24th appearance of the year. He pitched an inning yesterday in a game that the Reds lost by 1 run. Soto tonight reached on an error, fly to center, and then homered. That was a leadoff homer in the 7th that brought the Cubs to within 1, 3-2. Only his 2nd homer of the year for last year's Rookie of the Year. Well, here's Coco ready to go to work. Soto 0 for 3 in his matchups with the Reds closer to date. If anybody reaches, Fukudome would hit in the 9th spot. Fukudome came in the double switch last inning. The pitcher Marmol inserted in the 4th spot. 2-1. Two. 14 saves for Coco. That's tied for 3rd in the National League. 9 straight appearances now for the big guy without allowing a run. He'd like to keep it right where it is.
Well, he's thrown the ball extremely well, George. There was a lot of worry in spring training because when he would reach back for something extra on his fastball, it simply wasn't there. But when the season's begun and he needs to dial it up, he can dial it up the mid-90s.
3-2. Popped up right side. Is there going to be room? Hernandez drifting on the warning track. Got it. 1 away. The big bat of Soto sent to the bench. Last year, Coco Cordero's season ended early, and Dr. Timothy Kremchek operated on the ankle. And all winter long, the Reds monitored his recovery. It wasn't 100% when spring training began, and little by little, he said, just give me time, I'll be okay. Dr. Kremchek reiterated there was nothing structurally wrong with the ankle this spring, that he'd be fine, it just would take time. And Coco was right. By the end of spring training, he was ready. It didn't look that way a couple of weeks before the season started, but little by little, he got more and more comfortable on the ankle. There's a one-hopper down to the first baseman on his knees. Hernandez taps the bag, and Scales is retired. Take no chances. Smother it down there, right? Here comes the Cub third baseman, Fontenot. Walked, lined out, bounced out. When he's right, he's 94, 95, 96. That was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Slap foul, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Already completed. Dodgers won 3-2 over Philadelphia. They're now in the 8th. Milwaukee leads the Braves 3-0. Cardinals trailing Colorado 10-1. They're now in the 9th inning in St. Louis. In the ninth, Pittsburgh leads Houston 6-4, and Florida leads San Francisco 5-2 in the sixth. Washington has beaten the Mets the final 7-1. Well, in mass, 8 players on the field were 3 steps towards the dugout. The only guy who didn't agree with that was Dale Scott. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Oh.
Just missing inside, just missing outside, says Dale Scott, and it's full 3-2. Coco Kasem, 1-2-3 in the ninth. Last roundup time for the Reds. Can they end it in the ninth? Cordero has done his job. Can the offense do its? We're tied at 3. Facebook.com, keyword Fox Sports Ohio. www.baseball tonight. We've had some good baseball, some offense, some defense, a couple of errors thrown in to mix it, some fine pitching, and you add it all up. We go to the bottom of 9 in a 3-3 ball game. The Reds scoring all came in the first inning. A run scoring double from Dickerson, a 2-run home run from Ramon Hernandez. The Cubs scoring came little by little. A home run by Bobby Scales in the 4th, a home run by Soto in the 7th, and a sacrifice fly by Jake Fox, and we are tied at 3. Here's Guzman, who will come on. Dempster started, went 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, none of them earned. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. Ryan, 84 pitches. He pitched well. Deserved a better fate after an error by Fontenot opened the gates in the first inning for all 3 runs. Heilman came on to pitch the 7th, Marmol the 8th, and here's Guzman in the 9th.
Well, Guzman's one guy, Georgia, we've seen a little bit over the years, last 3 years or so, and he finally gets it this year. He's throwing more strikes. He's always had a tremendous arm where he can throw anywhere from 93 to about 97 miles an hour. But his breaking ball is there, his control is there, and he is really a huge asset for this Cubs bullpen.
Pitched a third of an inning last night. And after last night's appearance, now has 11 1/3 scoreless innings, dating back just about a month to May the 8th. Here's Jay Bruce trying to get the Reds rolling and trying to shake out of a prolonged slump. Bruce tonight bounced out, struck out, and walked his last time up. Still leading the Reds with 14 homers and 30 knocked in. One of those who struggled on the road trip, 1 for 27 on the trip, and only 1 run batted in. last night did have a base hit that ended an 0 for 17 skid. One swing can get you well. That's off the foot, nubbed down to first. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Another big crowd at Great American Ballpark. A sellout tonight, 40,914. 2 great nights of baseball. Cubs won by 1 run last night, and this one heading for a conclusion tonight. That's wide, 2-2. Jay overall has had some success against the Cubs. 286 and 4 home runs. That's a shot, but foul. And the one bat the Reds certainly miss is that of Joey Votto. Lou Piniella is saying it yesterday, and Gerald Perry. Joey has 10 career homers in his brief career against the Cubs.
Yeah, exactly right, George. Not only that, but you know, Joey Votto is one of those hitters that he's kind of like a Ramos Ramirez, that when you've got ducks on the pond out there, he almost always picks up the easy runs batted in. Sometimes those are the ones you miss the most.
Bruce will step out, waiting for the 8th pitch of this showdown at bat to lead off the bottom of the 9th.
Boy, if he centers one right here, he'll send most everybody in this ballpark home happy.
Center field, did he get enough? Lee Johnson will have room at the warning track. 1 away. That got him on their feet. A long out for the first out of the 9th.
I believe that was a breaking ball, believe it or not, at 90 miles an hour. It was a spinner up there, and he didn't have a lot of break on it, but he just sped the bat up just enough for Jay Bruce to get it out on the end, and couldn't drive it the way he's capable.
Well, there's Alex. Gonzalez first pitch swinging, pops it down the right field line. It'll be in the seats. Gonzalez, pretty good night offensively. He singled to left, was out trying to steal on a hit and run. Double to left and fly to center. Didn't go around, says Jerry Meals. 1 ball and 1 strike. Lou Piniella talked about the Reds bullpen and the variety of it. This is a Cubs bullpen, Chris. It'll come at you 95, 96,
yeah,
and
pretty
plus.
much. He'll dust you under the chin like he did the second last pitch, and then drop a hard slider on you and have you kind of bailing out. That's what's happened to Gonzalez.
Down the right field line. Fukudome going over in the corner, looking up. In foul territory. They'll haul it in. The 2 away, and here comes Hannigan. Ryan tonight bounced to short, bounced to second, and struck out. His biggest role tonight was the comfort blanket he wrapped around Matt Maloney, and they teamed up perfectly. Maloney, 6+ innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. He pitched well tonight.
You get that out of Brian Hannigan every time.
1-0 to Hannigan. 2-1. Shot in the center. That's a base hit. Hannigan rounds first. He'll hold there. And with the pitcher spot due up, here comes Johnny Gomes to pinch hit.
Well, last night's ball game, a very similar situation. Ryan Hannigan came up late in the ball game and hit a base hit off of Kevin Gregg, and nearly took the cap right off the Cubs pitcher, and that ball hit sharply back through the middle, and the Reds are still breathing.
Well, here comes Johnny. Cordero pitches an inning, and a dandy one at that. And here comes Johnny to try to end it in the ninth. Gomes, as a pinch hitter since coming up, has 7 at bats and 1 hit and a run batted in. First time he'll face Guzman, and he digs in there. Hannigan short lead down at first. Clips the outside corner for a strike. He's made 3 starts this year, but hasn't had one in a couple of weeks. His last 8 appearances have been as a pinch hitter. Last start was back on the 25th of May. Down at Louisville, 37 games, hit .280, 9 homers, 27 knocked in. You know he's got home run power. As instrumental as the likes of Matt Maloney and Homer Bailey have been in the resurgence of the guys down at Louisville, this guy was not just a producer on the field, but a leader down there. Trying to give the Reds a shot in the arm tonight. Pinch hitting here in the bottom of 9. 2 balls, 1 strike. And it's 3-1. You know what the Reds fans want? Number 31 to deliver. And you know what he'll be thinking, 3-1, ready to unload on one.
Well, looking for a fastball. I got a 3-1 slider. That is the pitch of choice for Angel Guzman, and that was a good one. Now he's got Gomes thinking right now. He went 3-1 and threw him a slider. Will he throw it on 3-2? Probably so. Or will he opt for a mid-90s fastball?
The old adage, what you throw on 3-1, do you throw on 3-2? Who guessed right? 3-2, 2 outs in the ninth. Did it back to back. Gomes strikes out. The Reds strand a runner. It's BB. Bonus baseball. We're going 10 in Cincinnati. Cubs 2 or 3 in extra inning games. The Reds 1 and 3 in extra inning encounters this year. Lou Piniella, who took the Reds to a world championship in 1990 here in Cincinnati, and still enjoys every trip into town to see friends and those who were part of that 1990 wire-to-wire story. Dusty Baker, who at one time managed in Chicago, hoping to even this series with a win, will turn the ball over to Nick Massett. For the Reds, Matt Maloney started 6+ innings, 6 hits and 2 runs. Daniel Ray Herrera came in and pitched the 7th inning and had a clean inning. David Weathers pitched the 8th, gave up 2 hits and a sacrifice fly that tied the game at 3. Coco Cordero the 9th, and here comes Massett, Chris.
Well, Nick Massett is very capable, George. Some people look at his stuff and they think this guy could be the closer of the future once Francisco Cordero's out of here. He has really found his own niche after competing for the starter spot, the number 5 starter spot down in spring training, and having somewhat of a mediocre spring because of that. He's been used in short relief, and he seems to be getting better and better each time out. I mean, sometimes to the point where he's simply dominant. They've had him up as high as 97 miles an hour a couple of different outings so far this season. And he needs to dial it up tonight to keep the score right where it is and give the Reds a chance.
19 innings. Massett only 7 hits allowed, and here comes Fukudome, who came in on the double switch. This is his first at bat. 302, 5 homers, 20 knocked in for Kosuke Fukudome. Years of age, a native of Osaki, Japan. Made his major league debut at the beginning of last season, signing the multi-year deal, coming to Chicago. Got off to a great start, hit 300 the first 2 months, then the average went south for the final 4 months of the year. No balls, 2 strikes. Fukudome, then the top of the order, Soriano and Terrio. And the air center field. It's going to stay in the park. Dickerson there. He'll haul it in 1 away. Dickerson's been a busy man in center the last 2 nights. 2 diving catches last night, 2 more tonight. Here's Soriano. He doubled in the first, was left stranded, struck out in the 2nd and the 5th against Maloney, and then struck out in the 8th against Weathers. Those 3 strikeouts now give him 59 for the season. Yes, he has power, the potential for 20 or more homers a year, but he'll also, by the time the year's over, be one of the league leaders in strikeouts too. The 59 puts him in 4th place in the league. Reynolds, Howard, Schaefer, and Adam Dunn, who we'll see this week, ahead of him. He's tied with Dunn.
He's the one of the guys, George, even though his on-base percentage is around 300, which is not good for an on-base percentage of a leadoff hitter. He's the kind of guy, though, that if you walk him in a situation like this with his stolen base potential, he can get himself into scoring position.
3 balls, no strikes. And there's ball 4. So Soriano trots down to first. He's got 6 stolen bases. He's been caught twice this year. Our Firestone leaderboard stat. These are 2 teams that score runs somewhat differently. The Reds without Griffey and Dunn, not hitting as many home runs, using the sacrifice more often. They were number 1 up until this week. The Mets passed them this weekend with 35 sacrifices, the Reds with 34. At the other end are the Cubs. They're 15th in the league with only 14 sacrifices, but Ryan Terrio is one who has 3.
You've got 1 out. Doubtful that he'd waste it here.
Terrio, good hit and run guy too, in the second spot in the order.
Bassett misses too many bats for that.
That's a strike. Terrio hit by a pitch and out trying to steal in the first. Fly to right, fly to center, and singled in the 8th. With one out, his single got the rally going that tied this game. Singled, then he went to third on a base hit by Lee and scored on the sacrifice fly by Jake Fox that tied the game 3-3. Soriano, short lead, but he's one of those base stealers who will take a short lead and bolt. Not going. And Terrio, from the looks of it, has given him a chance to steal second. Pass it to the stretch. Good job by Ramon. That one was like a slider to first, and Ramon just did get a glove on it. It was a good view of it. That's tailing away.
Well, Massett's got a nice quick move over there, and it's all keyed by quick feet. But the basic fact is, unless that runner at first base is really in a stolen base mode, or he's napping, you're not going to pick him off as a right-handed pitcher. Your better chance is to throw it down the right field line and put him on third.
1 ball, 1 strike. Not going. And that's up high, and it's 2-1.
Well, he is giving him some pitches with which to work right here. That should signal time for Nick Massett to find the strike zone.
Terrio steps out, gets his sign. Sinatra, hand on Soriano's shoulder, relays the intent of Lou Piniella. Ahead in the count. Might they hit and run? Runner going. Fouled off.
You know, some of the things that the advanced scouts look for when they're trying to find tendencies of ball clubs and when you run and when you hit and run and so on is they watch the runner at first base. And right before that pitch, Soriano really tightened up, and you could read it that he was going that time. He didn't change the length of his lead any, but he just tightened up his legs, and you could kind of just get the feeling he was on his way.
What he'll do is he'll take that left knee and turn it in when he looks like he's going to go. He's got it turned in again here. Is he going again? Well, he had a jog there for a moment. Soriano asking, is it 2-2? The umpire nodding yes. Two balls, 2 strikes. Massett with the sign, and now Terrio will ask for time. Gonzalez and Phillips get set on who'll cover second. That's down and away for a ball, and it's full count 3-2. 3-2, 1 out here in the 10th. We'll see if Lou will put Soriano in motion. Tad bigger lead for Soriano. There's the 3-2. He's going. And it's caught. That'll be a double play. You roll the dice. It's not what you call its execution. A bullet off the bat of Terrio. It could have been a double that gave Lou Piniella a lead. Instead, it's a line drive to Hernandez in an inning-ending double play. Ballpark, another sellout crowd, 40,914, getting some bonus baseball on this Saturday night. A festive night downtown last night after the Cubs won a one-run ball game, fireworks display, and it was a fun night downtown with the exception of the scoreboard. And tonight they're getting some good baseball as well. Great to have you with us. George Grand, Chris Welsh, Micah Hoffpower, who came up with a key catch last night that saved 2 runs and enabled the Cubs to win the game by 1. Sean Marshall, a sometimes starter, sometimes reliever, is coming in to take over as we go to the bottom of the 10th inning. Don't forget, when this one wraps up, Jim Day, Jeff Pecora will be by with Reds Live postgame. Great to have you with us. Our producer Christian Roberts down in the truck with Roy Alfers, our director. Matt Sigafus dialing up some highlights for you. Sarah Mann graphically keeping you up to date. Kent Weaver with our pregame activity, and he's put together a special tomorrow on the Reds Live pregame, talking to Chris Buckley, looking at the future for the Reds as we head towards the amateur draft on Tuesday. Here's Marshall against Jerry Hairston Jr. And you would figure, Chris, that it's Marshall's game from here for Lou Piniella. The sometimes starter's probably in there for a while.
Well, he's had 90 games appeared for the Chicago Cubs since he came up about 3 years ago, and more than half of those have come as starters. He's had only 2 starts against the Reds. He's been in 6 games overall, but you're right. This is the one reason why you have a guy like Marshall down and available in the bullpen, that you get in a situation either your starter gets knocked out early and you need a lot of innings, or you bring that long man in at the very end, hoping that he can give you enough innings until your team can score.
Marshall last pitched on the 31st of May against the Dodgers, went 4 1/3, allowed 8 hits and 8 runs. In fact, there was a time when you looked at this rotation before Zambrano came off the suspended list that the Reds had the possibility of facing 2 lefties, both Lilly and Marshall. As it turned out, they faced neither in this series as starters. 3 balls, 1 strike to Jerry. Hairston 1 for 4. That was a single back in the 2nd inning. But he reached on an error in the 1st, and he scored on a double by Dickerson. That gave the Reds a 1-0 lead. 2 outs later, Ramon Hernandez homered, his 4th of the year, and the Reds led 3-0. The Cubs have chipped away with homers by Scales and Soto and a sacrifice fly by Fox to tie it. Line drive, that's a base hit. Hairston may try to pick 2. Let's see. Big turn, and he'll slam on the brakes. Quickly there to get it is Reed Johnson, solid defensive center fielder. So Hairston took the big turn and settled for 1.
That looks like he got a breaking ball in on the hands that time. Didn't hit it all that well, but just enough to get it over the head of the shortstop. So now the Reds have some speed on the base paths. That ball coming right in there on the label. He'll give up a base hit. Marshall will, to the first batter that he faces. And you wonder now if Dusty Baker will go into what you just talked about a few minutes ago, George, sacrifice bunt mode.
So let's see what Dickerson does. Good speed on the bases with Hairston. Dickerson doubled in a run, bounced out, struck out, struck out. On the road trip, Chris, we wondered when Dickerson did not bunt with runners at 1st and 2nd in a 1-out situation. He swung away, grounded into a double play, an inning-ending double play.
I would imagine lefty versus lefty right here. He would not normally start against a left-hander. This is definitely a bunt situation.
Shows bunt. Pops it up. It is foul.
Now this is one of those situations, and this has happened to Chris Dickerson before this year, where he's messed up on the first pitch that he's had. He fouls it off. Now he's in an 0-1 hole. And he has gone on by himself and bunted again and fouled it off, and then finds himself in an 0-2 hole. Dusty Baker doesn't like that. What he normally does in a situation like this is take the bunt off, although lefty versus lefty is a little different, a different mix. I say he keeps it on.
I would think you're right. Marshall to the stretch. Dickerson, 0 balls, 1 strike. Look out. Whoa. right by his chin, and it's 1-1. Doesn't get much closer than that, huh?
Man.
That's a wake-up call. And this is a guy who's already had concussion-like symptoms once this year. One ball, one strike. Squares again. He gets it down. Marshall will take the out at first, and down to second goes Harrison. Good job by Dickerson. After being a low bridge, he hangs in there, and he'll get some high fives as he hits the top of the dugout steps.
That's an excellent job by Chris Dickerson. Anytime you get that bunt down, it's a good job. Even after you get knocked down on the previous pitch, then get a little slider working away from you, it's even better. Now that winning run is on second base thanks to a good sacrifice work by Dickerson.
Now Dusty's wheels have put a runner at second, and with Phillips due up, they will walk him intentionally. With Lance Nix due up next. Remember, the Reds have already used Michael Owings and Johnny Gomes. Still available from the right side, Adam Rosales and Giannis. Willie Taveras is available, of course, but unlikely to be used, still nursing the hamstring pull. So it's going to be lefty-lefty. It's Marshall against Nix, and there are the numbers for Lance against lefties this year, 154.
Well, they're still waiting for Willie Taveras to recover from that hamstring injury, or else they would perhaps be able to use a pinch hitter here. But if you don't, if you use a pinch hitter here, you really got no way to play the outfield in the event you don't score.
So here's Lance. Not only is he trying to battle this left-hander, he's trying to get his first hit ever against the Cubs. That big breaking ball drops in there for a strike.
And that's a pitch that has given him the willies against southpaws. He's had 13 at-bats against left-handers and struck out 7 times. That's a Lord Charles right there.
0 for 4 today and 0 for 11 in his career against the Cubs. Strike one. And it's 0-2.
Swinging at dirt.
Hernandez due up next. At this stage, Dusty would rather take the strikeout than a double play ground ball. Get Hernandez up there. Pretty good chance. Nix digs in. There's a dribbler. It'll go foul.
Pretty good chance or what? I'm with you.
Harrison, great speed off second. Phillips down at first. Harrison's a run that counts. We're 3-3 in the bottom of the 10th. The big, tall lefty peers in for his sign from Soto. He fights it off to stay alive. Making adjustments is Nix. He's shortened that swing. He just wants to find a way to make some kind of contact.
Well, you tell yourself as a left-handed hitter, all right, I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to hang in there. This last pitch was a fastball, simply to set up a breaking ball. He was obviously in curveball mode right there, as late as he was on that fastball. Hit it right out of the catcher's mitt.
0-2 again.
Well, Sean Marshall's got a pretty good curveball. Lance Nix has seen 2 or 3 of the best ones he can throw.
Well, he's done it before. Let's see if he can do it again. We're talking about Ramon, and he won't have a chance against the lefty. Lou is on a protracted march to the mound. Marshall has gotten the lefties that he needed to get. And he's talking to Marshall.
Well, you know, George,
no
we
move
talked
to the bullpen yet.
When they brought Marshall in, we talked about how Lou may want him out there for an extended period of time, several innings, given the fact that he is a starter. And if Lou goes to the bullpen now, it kind of blows that whole strategy.
Well, Lou's going to stick with Marshall. He's given his sermon. Marshall will face Ramon. Hernandez has given the Reds their best offense of the night. A 2-run homer in the first. He walked, he bounced out, then he lined out to second. Hernandez 2 for 2 against Marshall in their matchups.
I'm winded just from watching Lou go back and forth to the mound.
Here comes Ramon against the lefty. Breaking ball drops in there. Fairly even, Steven. 257 against lefties for Ramon and a homer. And 2 homers against right-handers. And, of course, far more at bats. They play him pretty much straight away. Missing wide.
Now, if you're a Cubs infielder, you're thinking, I'm knocking down anything that I can possibly get to. Laying out, diving, belly play, whatever you want to call it. Anything that goes into the outfield is going to score the winning run.
Off Powers in left. Reed Johnson in center. Fukudome in right. Hairston trying to get every inch of a lead, but Scales is trying to keep him close at second, which is good for Hernandez. Reds fans know how much and how often he'll go to the right side. They're buying about 10 feet by the bag.
I'm surprised actually the Scales is shading that much towards the bag.
Ramon sees that. He'll try to shoot one through, and they set up away. One ball, 2 strikes. Chris, I think Alan Trammell was listening to you. He just moved Scales over about 8 feet.
Well, now they may be setting up a fastball waste pitch here.
1-2. There's a bouncer to the right side. Scales has it. Well, Ramon tried to go that way. Doesn't get it done, so a leadoff hit by Harrison and a sacrifice. We're heading to the 11th, still tied at 3. Left on, 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for the Reds, and 8 left on base. As we go to the top half of inning number 11. Nick Massett will continue his second inning of work as Marshall dodges a bullet after a leadoff base hit for the Reds in the 10th. There comes Derek Lee. A rebounding last month for Derek after hitting near 200 during the first month of the season, having neck and shoulder problems. He's back since the middle of May, hitting nearly 400. Today, fly to center, robbed of a hit on a catch by Dickerson, struck out on a 3-2 pitch, singled on a 3-2 pitch against Maloney, and then singled to left in the 8th inning against Weathers. That was in the middle of the Cub rally that tied the game at 3. Always dangerous against Cincinnati. In his career, 29 home runs against the Reds. Facing Massett here in the 11th. Scoreboard watching. Colorado beat St. Louis 10-1. Pittsburgh beat Houston 6-4. Dodgers beat the Phillies 3-2. Milwaukee over Atlanta 3-0. Washington beat the Mets 7-1. Arizona leads San Diego 2-0. And our congratulations to Moeller, a 5-2 winner over Pinkerton North for the state championship, their 5th title.
Good for the Crusaders.
Another title for the men from Moeller. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Lee, then Hoffpower, then Johnson due up. Chris, he's had a host of injuries in recent years, and people in Chicago question, was it the wrist injury that took his power away? Might it be his back or his neck? He never says boo, just keeps playing every day and playing well. Swing and a miss. Lee's struck out in the 11th.
Well, he had one good swing in this at bat. It was on a pitcher, was down the middle. But George, when the Reds have stayed away from Derek Lee, they've really been successful. Even though Lee will close his stance up, step right towards the plate. Boy, that little cutter right there, very tough pitch to get to.
Well, here's Hoffpower. Micah last night came up with the play of the game for the Cubs, a diving catch on a shot by Jerry Hairston Jr. into right center. If he doesn't make the catch, 2 runs score, and instead of losing by a run, the Reds could have won a game by a run. Originally drafted by the Cubs back in 2002, got some power. Four homers, 17 knocked in, and a .275 average stepping in there today. Of course, would love to have Joey Votto in the lineup, whose best numbers against any team have been against the Cubs, and Dusty Baker knows that. And Lou Piniella would love to have Aramis Ramirez in his lineup. He's put up immense numbers against the Reds in his career. Ramirez isn't due back until probably the month of July with a shoulder injury. Power hanging in there, no balls and 2 strikes. a dandy, didn't he?
Hoffpauer now having discussions with the home plate umpire. Thought that pitch was high. Had a lot of break on it. That's a Nick Massett curveball right there. Comes right over the top of it. Nice receiving job at the other end, and too close to take.
So 2 strikeouts, 2 away, and here comes Johnson. Reed, a productive night. 2 doubles, his 4th and 5th of the season. Facing Massett for the first time. Gonzalez scoops, fires, that'll do it. 1, 2, 3. To the bottom of the 11th we go. Reds looking for some runs. All it'll take is 1. Come on, let's go, says Nick Massett. For you in the first inning. Harrison reached on an error. Dickerson doubles him home. Nice slide by Jerry Hairston Jr. 1-0 Reds. Later in the inning, after 2 out, Ramon Hernandez clubs his 4th homer. The Reds led it 3-0. That's the way it stayed till Bobby Scales homered in the 4th to make it a 3-1 ball game. Then Giovanni Soto led off in the 7th with his 2nd homer of the year. It was a 3-2 game. In the 8th, with a runner on 3rd, Jake Fox pop into center field, a sacrifice fly, a diving catch by Dickerson. Couldn't get up and throw the ball to the plate in time, and we're tied at 3. And here's Jay Bruce in the 11th, leading it off against the left-hander Marshall. Bruce tonight bounced to the pitcher, struck out, walked, and flied to center. Starting pitchers long gone for the Cubs. Ryan Dempster pitched well, 6 innings, 6 hits. He allowed 3 runs, none of them earned though, after the error by Fontenot on Hairston's ball, the first ground ball of the night. He struck out 7 and walked 2. And from the Red side, a night to remember for Matt Maloney, his major league debut, and he acquitted himself fine. 6+ innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. He left Chris leading 3-2. He won't get credit for the win, but that won't take away the night.
Well, George, he had a great night. You know, he went out there against a pretty tough ball club. And in his major league debut in a stadium that was filled tonight, half of which was filled with Cubs fans. You have to admire the way he went out there and really threw a lot of strikes. He did exactly what he did down in Louisville, which is get ahead of hitters and go right after them. I was very impressed with the way he went about his business.
Jays battle back 3-2, looking for something to drive get the Reds rolling in the 11th. Well, the 10th started with a leadoff base hit by Hairston. The 11th starts with a leadoff walk to Bruce. Let's see if the Reds can get him over. Tonight, Maloney's numbers: 6+, 6 hits, 2 runs, and some good defense behind him.
He had good defense behind him, but he also had a tremendous changeup tonight. I mean, he really had the Cubs baffled on that off-speed pitch. Has tremendous arm speed on it. He really sells it like a fastball, and they couldn't figure it out all night long. I think we're going to see a little bit more of Mr. Maloney in the major leagues.
Here's Gonzalez. Single, double, fly ball. 2 for 4 on the night.
And every time that Marshall's gotten a man on like that, he's gone over immediately. After he gave up a base hit to Jerry Harrison and Chris Dickerson stepped into the batter's box, first thing he did was throw to first base, hoping that the batter in the batter's box would give up his intention, bunt or not bunt.
Gonzalez has one sacrifice. With Gonzalez at the plate, Dusty is just as likely to hit and run as bunt. He is a good bunter. He can bunt. He'll make contact. We'll see how Dusty handles it. Last inning, Hairston singled. Dickerson sacrificed him to second, and then they walked Phillips intentionally. Gonzalez, did that hit his foot? They're going to get the runner to second anyways.
Well, there's so many more things that can go wrong on a hit and run that can go wrong on a sacrifice, and I think Dusty's going to play it conservatively, and that's what he tried to do. Gonzalez squares the bunt. The ball looks like it hits his back foot, but it just squirts away from the catcher.
A delayed start by Jay, but he does get there.
I think he had a hard time picking up where the ball actually went. Sometimes when you're on first base, you're not sure. You see everybody running around back there, and the ball finally squirted away. I would imagine the bunt with a 1-0 count is going to stay on right here, and Gonzalez is going to try to get it down the third base line to see if they can't get Bruce to third.
With Hannigan due up next. Now the key here is you've got to keep the third baseman close to third, and they get it down. They look, there's nobody at third. They get the out at first, but the sacrifice works. Well, that's exactly the perfect scenario, and it was handled perfectly by Gonzalez. He pushed it well enough down the line. Even though Marshall fielded it, Fontenot had to come off, and there was nobody at third.
Remember, you've got a fill-in third baseman down there, Mike Fontenot, and that ball had no chance at all of getting by the pitcher. He should have held his ground, stayed at third base, and Marshall, who's a left-hander, falls off the third anyway, gets to the ball immediately. They would have had Jay Bruce dead to rights at third base had Fontenot not vacated the spot. But now it doesn't matter. 90 feet away is that winning run.
A big crowd, 40,000 on hand, and with Hannigan due up, they will walk him intentionally. Let's see if they walk the bases loaded or just walk him.
I doubt that they'll walk the bases loaded because, you know, Jay Bruce reached on a base on balls anyway. You've got no margin of error when you walk the bases loaded. They're going to try to get a double play ball probably out of Adam Rosales, who's now working his way into the on-deck circle.
But the other side of it is, I mean, you only need one run. So if you don't walk the bases loaded, you keep your second baseman and your shortstop at double play depth, and you don't turn the double play, the run's going to score.
Yep.
Oh, we'll see. Here comes Rosales.
Well, you know, in the Cubs dugout right now, Alan Trammell and Lou Piniella are kind of talking it over. Walk them full or not.
And Scales and Terrio are sitting there waiting for a decision where they want them to play.
What they're going to do now, they're going to leave the second baseman and shortstop deep, and the third baseman, if he gets a ground ball, he's coming to the plate. Same for Derek Lee.
Well, here we go. Adam Rosales will pinch hit for Massey. He can be the hero tonight for his buddy from Louisville. Rosales had backed up his starting pitcher, Matt Maloney, so often down at Louisville. Maloney can't get a win, but he can give him a smile on this night. So Hannigan's down at first. Bruce, the winning run, down at third. Down to third. Here comes the runner to the plate. The throw high. He scores. The Reds win. The Reds win. They're going to mob Rosales. No, it wasn't a line shot, but it's all the Reds needed. Look out, Rosie. Doesn't have to be pretty, does it, Chris?
I'll tell you what, the Reds ought to feel very lucky and fortunate that it came out the way it actually did. He dribbles it down to the third baseman. And the problem for Fondo right here is that he gets it and he has no throwing lane. He's got to throw over the runner. And that's the reason why the ball was high. That ground ball took him right into the third base line. That's the line that Jay Bruce is coming straight down, and there's no way. Soto's got to go one side or Fondo's got to go to one side. It didn't happen. You try to throw over the runner, and Adam Rosales, who's really not sure what's going on, he turned around, he heard the cheers, he goes, what? Did we win the game? All right.
Yes, sirree. Dusty's got reason to celebrate. Rosales does as Bruce scampers home. The Reds win it 4-3 in extras. We'll show you more when we return.